What's up? Hi. A little low-key intro there. How are you doing? Not a nice shirt, no marketing Monday. Damn, you know me too well. Damn. You really fucking called it based on the shirt? That's crazy. You're right. I literally didn't put on the Marketing Monday shirt because I don't have a Marketing Monday today. No, we're just chilling today. Today's just a stream day. That's crazy. Actual fan. Actual VIP, dude. Damn, he called it based on the shirt. I think the title gave it away too. I always put it in the title. Paper Mario Monday? Yeah. Oh, I got 10,000 subs? That's awesome. Holy shit, congrats to me. I can't believe I got 10,000 subs. Oh, wait. For some reason it says only 8,200. So that would mean I'm not playing Paper Mario, right? That would mean I didn't hit the sub goal, so I would not be playing Paper Mario. That's strange. Curious. Curious. How's everybody doing? I had a nice little Monday, no work, little off Monday. Although the grind never stops. Okay. So what I did actually was I got up, crack of dawn, 5 a.m. I went, I got a retail job. It was Dunkin' Donuts at the mall. I worked a full day. When they gave me my paycheck, I gave it back to them. I said I did this for the knowledge. And then I went home to do this. So I don't know how you guys spent your day off, but experience greater than money. Yes, ye boy gets it. Yes, I did it for the experience. No day off from college, Sag. You definitely get days off in college. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. It's not a coal miner. Okay? You're in college. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's fucking annoying. I 100% can feel you. Jeez, blurping. But there is days off. In fact, sometimes I have no days on. In my college, at ASU, I didn't have many days on. Full-time college, full-time job. Yikes. Actually very difficult. Actually extremely difficult. Actually, insane respect for that. I hope your mental health's in a good spot, King. Full-time college and full-time job is an exhausting prospect. That's an actual grind and will grind you down and is tough to maintain. Good luck, kings and queens, doing that. Jesus. Every day is on when you're playing League. I should introduce you to my college self. You guys would be good friends. NW player, thank you for the 5 gifted. Wow, out of fucking nowhere. I swear to God, I get the most gifted right when I start stream. You know what I should do is constantly turn the stream off and on again and just do the intro. The content itself is terrible. But the intro is where that's where the juice is. So after about 15 minutes, let's just fucking start over again. Quack, thank you for the 20 months. I made you plus ratio. You certainly did, Quack. You certainly did. Shoutouts to Quack, everybody. Amazing editor. And you know what? In Valorant, he tries hard. He tries. Who cares about skill? Who cares about where you're at? It's all about where you are going, okay? It's about putting the effort in. Nobody I know has put in more hours for no progress than my man Quack. And you know what? A lesser man might have given up. A lesser man would have been like, wow, grinding every day, 9-10 hours a day, school falling apart. And I'm still stuck in bronze, hard stuck. You'd think I'd quit, but no. No, he didn't. He says, I'm going to keep putting more hours in. I'm going to keep my chin up. I'm going to keep my head up. And I'm going to keep pushing through. And that is heroic. And that's why we stand quack around here. We stand quack. It's kind of bad. It is badass. It's fucking sick. Mason Ish asks Quack 001, actually bronze? Don't worry, I'll answer for him. He says yes. He says yes, but silver in spirit. And that is what it's all about. So give him some love. I am actually gonna finish Inscription. You know what? I rewatched my Inscription video today before I published it, and it reminded me that I do love Inscription. The game was so fucking fun that I have to give it a shot, even if I was a little turned off by the 8-bit transition. So I will play Inscription. In fact, I'm gonna do it tomorrow. In fact, I'm putting this on record. Who dat raid? Yerps. Handshakes. Firm handshakes, chat. Tomorrow, Inscription. Guaranteed. Do you know why? Because I had a stream with Punch planned for tomorrow and he flaked. Sorry, I should have said flaked. That's so unnecessary and mean. No, Punch actually has a job interview, and I literally told him 100%, yeah, we'll move the date. But I just used the word flake now, which I feel bad. No, 100%. Good luck, Punch. And we're going to play Inscription tomorrow. Flaked was the wrong word. So Inscription will be tomorrow, and then we'll do a Punch stream later this week when he has some free time, which will be the greatest CSGO moments in history as narrated by Punch. I think it's going to be funny as fuck. I'm really excited. If you don't play Inscription tomorrow, you have to play Paper Mario. I don't negotiate with terrorists, hold this. And what you're doing is tantamount to terrorism. Emotional terrorism. Atrioc, I got hired for a better paying job today. Good shit, King. Or Queen. Sorry, I didn't read your name. I was playing the odds. Congrats. That's fucking awesome. The firm handshake. Look, my handshake is my bond. My word is my bond. I'm doing it. Inscription tomorrow. Guaranteed. Did you just sneeze in your hand? No. It's you spit in your hand to seal the deal. Or is that old school? What do you guys do? Cross vape clouds? Come on. We kiss. Wait, his name actually was King. Wow. That's crazy. His name was actually King. I was just saying King in the general sense. No, I don't think you guys touch tips and lock lips. That doesn't seem like a good way to seal the deal. No, I don't think that's 100% accurate. I think what you're trying to do is say something that's extremely crass to sort of be funny. That's if I had to guess. What's the plan today? Great question. I love people ask that. I love that. It's one of my favorite things. I love it. Can I just tell you? Can I just pause the stream for a second and say how much I love when people ask, what's on the agenda for today? What's the plan for today? I love it. I love it. Right at the beginning. And then what's great is like they ask it 5 minutes later too. Even if I answer it, they ask you 5 minutes later. It's fun because I like repeating myself. One thing you'll know about my stream is I love repeating myself. I love saying the same thing over and over and over again. The plan. Well, you see, the thing about the plan is that it is multifaceted. There's a lot to it. Okay, you can't pigeonhole me. You can't put me in a box. As much as you love spammers, yeah. Yeah. If there's one thing I love more than repeating the intro, it is spammers. Gare Bear Game said 14 months. Thank you. Oh, we could have had a pair of twins at this point if my subscriptions weren't actually a pregnancy. That is an odd way to commemorate your 14 months. Yes, if your subscription was a pregnancy, we technically could have had a pair of twins. No, don't find that information useful or relevant, but you did technically state facts, I guess. Although that's not really how it works, right? 9 months would be the baby, and it would be twins. Actually makes no sense. I'm sorry. In my mind, I was just not even thinking about it. It doesn't make any sense. It would be 18 months but for 2 individual babies, but that wouldn't be twins. 14 months makes no sense. Yeah, wow, you really threw me for a loop there. Wow, that was really stupid on a lot of levels. Here's a couple things we're going to do today that I want to do in no particular order. Number 1, blurp. Check that box. Number 2, listen to this dubstep symphonic sound track. All right, check that box. All right, that's done. Number 3, I wanted to talk about some of the responses to my inflation video. Answer a couple questions. Something about that. I also wanted to not necessarily do a full wins and fails, but I do have some fun things that I wanted to watch. And then also, I thought I'd watch the Fear of Cold video today. Does that all sound gooch to smooch? Sure. Kiss to steal the deal. Mwah. You got it. When will you begin Hitman World Record attempts? I did a few on stream. I did one yesterday, but Stans kept calling me during it. It's tough to fit them in, to be quite honest, because I don't. It's just a lot of on-stream grinding that I don't necessarily find to be great content. Oh, Streamer Awards. Let's start with that. Streamer Awards voting. Let's start with that. Actually, we can do that right off the bat. The Streamer Awards votes are up. The nominees have been selected. And we need to cast our vote collectively as one voice. Bum bada bum 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 bada bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Can someone, any mod want to just fucking lay on that spammer? Let that fucking spammer fly with the link in the chat. Let's check out the Speedrunner Awards. Sorry. Jumping the gun. The Streamer Awards. Here they are. I need chat, though. Hey, chat. The Streamer Awards. Cutie Cinderella is hosting an awesome black tie in-person event to commemorate some of the greatest streamers and streaming categories from the past year. It's taking place pretty soon. I think mid-March down in LA. I recently, this weekend, rented a fly-ass tux to match my bomb-ass fiance's dress that we'll be wearing for this event. I also have been confirmed to be presenting the Best Smash Player Award. Mango. So I'll be on stage no matter what. Unless I'm leaking. Oh my God, is this a leak? Is that not allowed to be said? I think that's fine. I don't think that's a big problem. Anyway, yes, I'll be presenting. You leaked your IRL name. Yes, it is Brandon. You got me. Okay, let's check them out. So I really just skimmed these based on what I saw on Twitter, but I want to actually dive in and actually give my actual votes because they've narrowed down all the nominations to just 4 for every category. Best Battle Royale Streamer. Lulu Lovely, Imperial Hal, Asu, Nick Merckx. I'm generally just a fan of Nick Merckx. I don't watch a lot of Battle Royale in general. Is Asu the guy that did the bronze to challenger or whatever, bronze to radiant in Apex in 24 hours? That was Timmy. Timmy should be on here. That was genius. That was dope content. So I'll have to give it to Nick Merckx. Timmy's further down. Okay, get him. Best GTA RP streamer. It's the answer's got to be X, right? In terms of viewer minutes, XQC has generated like a fucking cinematic universe of content. He has like 100,000 people watching him at all times, GTRP all day. It's like the amount of people that are into the universe because of XQC. That being said, let's do a side pivot here. I watched a clip of Sykkuno robbing a bank where you had to like, there was like floating numbers that blanked out and you had to click them all in the right order when you couldn't see them. It was the most insane fucking mental I don't know how to describe it. It was actually the most insane fucking hacking design in a game that I'd seen, and then human solving it on the fly by Sykkuno. And his RP seemed good. So let's give it to Sykkuno. I actually think he got into it in a major way. Best roleplay streamer, I truly don't know. I think Seer's funny, so I'll vote Seer. Best League of Legends streamer, ooh, the answer unequivocally is Tyler 1. Tyler 1 is stuck with League through thick and thin. He did Challenger to fucking, or Bronze to Challenger in fucking every role. He got officially recognized by the League of Legends account after, like, long ago they banned him and called him toxic, and now he's, like, the fucking guy keeping the game afloat in America. Plus Double Lift cheated in our 1v1. I can't give it to him. I think Double Lift's a great streamer, but I think Tyler 1 is like the GOAT of League of Legends streaming. He's really kept the category alive on Twitch. Got to give it to him. Best FPS streamer. Ooh, let's go Tarek. Easy clap. He was actually so fun to hang out with. We've done a lot of Bros vs. Bros, and you can tell pretty early on who's going to be able to play along for the content and just do the bants. And he was fucking amazing at it instantly. It was like we were friends with him for years and when we just met him. So easy clap. And also, Stan's got to own him. And you know what? Stan's going to be thinking about that on his deathbed. Stan's getting to become Stens and own a pro and just be a fucking god is like, that's going to be in Stans' mind forever. He's carved out a portion of his brain to hold that memory forever. And it's just awesome. So I'm going to give it to Tarek. So that thing is fucking. Best just chatting streamer. I think it's between Hassan and Miz, who kind of had the dominant year. If you're thinking last year, Hassan and Miz both got even bigger. Like they blew up even though they're already big and did a bunch of crazy stuff. Honestly, a tough call. I guess if I have to give it to one, man, you know, I don't know. I really don't know. The dedication of Hassan is impressive. He streams like a fucking third of all waking hours past year. He was live all the time, all day, every day, and somehow keeps his sanity. And he's like a type of person that can like get mad at chat, and I would go insane doing that for too long. I can barely handle it now, and I stream 3 hours a night. I can't. He's on stream for half of it. That's true. I don't know. I think it's Hassan or Miz. I'm probably going to give it to Miz because Hassan essentially was doing the same content this past year that he did before. He just got bigger doing it. But Mizkiv did a bunch of new stuff, especially with OTK. So I'll give it to Miz, but it's close. Best VTuber? I'm really not up to date, but I probably am going to give it to Code Miko because I think she's done some really pioneering stuff technologically. And just super funny. I've seen a lot of clips. I don't know much about Iron Mouse. I'm sure she's great, but I just don't know her. I don't know her. I haven't watched her, so I'm going to give it to Code Miko because I've watched Code Miko. Best strategy game streamer. creates the best content while playing strategy games. Interesting. Northern Lion. Northern Lion. Northern Lion. I think he creates the best content, and I like watching him. And he finds more games that I don't know about. Northern Lion is, for me, the person that finds games that I might be interested in, and then I can play them. So I'm going to give it to Northern Lion. I think Toast is also great. I think Box is great. I think Scar is great. But I think Northern Lion. ASMR streamer. Amaranth, baby. There's only one big A in the ASMR community. And since I'm taking a break, Amaranth can get my vote. Best music streamer. T-Pain. Buy you a drink. Chess streamer. Levy. I'm actually the biggest Levy fan. Fucking love his videos. Levy has figured out, I think I am, I feel like there's like 100,000 me's that watch Levy's content. Like very basic chess watchers. All we want is a thumbnail with Magnus Carlsen in it that goes, what? Magnus did what? And we click and we watch all the way through and we fucking thumbs up. And he has figured it out. He's gone from like 20% Magnus thumbnails to 80%. So now I watch 80% of his content. It works like a fucking charm. It's got me fucking hooked. And also he's really fun to collab with. Bros. Gotham Chess easy. IRL streamer. I can't vote honestly here, but I will say that I think Hot Chubby has some funny clips IRL streaming. So I'll give it to Hot Chubby. Best Speedrunner. Woo! We made it. Hey, we made it. We're on the list, man. We got nominated. Woo! All it took was a lot of grinding. I love every single person on this list. If I had to vote and I couldn't vote myself, Small Ant. If it's for best content, I think Small Ant does a great job of doing speedrunning and content. I'm going to toot my own horn. I thought, I am just starting to see the potential of content that takes speedrunning and makes it more accessible and shows the grind that goes into it, and then also shows like how cool strategies are and you can get excited about it. And so that's the stuff that I'm excited about, and I'm hoping to make more content like that. I'm going to vote for myself just because obviously, you only get one shot at these things. So I'm going to dump it in, but I would also vote Small Ant. And I also think, Simply's great. He just does Mario. But I actually watched a ton of Simply content too. I watched his reacting to the new world record. They're all great. And Virtual's amazing too, but I don't watch Trackmania is the thing. I don't like Trackmania much, but I think he's fucking awesome. All right. Best Super Smash Bros. Streamer. This, in my mind, no doubt Mango. But I am going to say all these guys are great streamers. IBDW's been hustling, putting in the actual hours. And of course, HBox is, it's funny because if HBox to me is like just an amazing streamer all around. Forget the game. When I think best Super Smash Bros. Streamer, in my mind, I only think Melee, which is why I picked Mango, because HBox doesn't really stream Melee. But I have to give daps to Hungrybox. He's a fucking entertainer. He's just really fun. He's got a great community. So, yeah. And he pops off like crazy, which is dope. But I'll be presenting this award, and I'm going to vote for Mango, but whoever wins, I'll be happy for him. It will be one of these two, almost certainly, though. Best Minecraft streamer. Forsen, baby! Please vote Forsen. Oh, this would be so fucking funny if Forsen wins. Plus, Dream's not on here. Cringe. If you don't put Dream on there, I'm not going to vote for anyone else other than Forsen. The Dream of Europe. That's what they call him. Best MMO streamer. In this past year, Asmongold. Dude, Asmongold literally killed WoW. Or at least fucking struck a blow on God, dude. Asmongold fucking got a lightning sword and made God bleed. That's actually crazy. He had insane power. He literally shifted millions of people over to fucking a different game. Asmongold. Crazy power this past year. Valorant streamer. Timmy. I'm going to give it to Timmy because of his crazy... He got to Radiant, right? Bronze to Radiant. I just think that's dope. That was just a dope idea. Doing it all in one stream is crazy cool. I also think Pokey's a great Valorant streamer. And I actually think not just Pokey, but the whole OTV crew have done a huge service to Riot by making Valorant positioned as not like a competitive, hardcore, grindy game. Like, Valorant community is so much more open to just playing for fun and casually because of what OTV is doing consistently with their content, which makes it much more likely to grow. It makes it easier for new players to get into. It's just great for Riot. Lucky for them. They're very lucky that these guys, OTV streams it. But I'm going to give it to Timmy because I am a grinder and I like people that do crazy grinds, and I think that's just really impressive. Best philanthropic streamer. This is charity. I don't know. I don't know. They're all, I mean, it's weird to rank them, right? They all. It's like if one guy raised more, do you think they're a better person? It's a weird. Yeah, I think Jack raised the most, but I don't want to be like, well, that's it. Dollar value is all that counts. I think Dr. K has made it more consistent part of their content to help people out. I don't watch much Rambo. I haven't watched much Lupo. Although Lupo did a great speech at TwitchCon about in this past year. Let's give it to Jack just because of how much he did raise an absolutely staggering amount, and I think that's fucking awesome. So let's do it. Best variety streamer. Ooh. Let me check one thing. Okay. All right, for best variety, I'm gonna go straight up Charlie. For me, this past year. Because I don't think anyone did. When I think variety, I mean like so many different games, so much different content. And I think he actually did the most different stuff. I feel like Charlie's stream and YouTube is always playing some new interesting game, watching some new interesting video, or talking about some new interesting topic. And so it's truly variety. So I have to give it to Charlie on this one. But I listen, extremely close here, and I will talk about this in a second. Best streamed event, Dollhouse. I didn't watch the Bloom World Cup outside of clips. It probably is like the most fucking... If this was English language, I think it would win free. I think it would win free, but I'm going to give it to Dollhouse because I watched Dollhouse. It was fucking awesome. Really incredibly innovative. And it's kind of like Germa's magnum opus so far, so I think it just would win. They're all four amazing, though. These all four are like pretty cutting edge. Stream game of the year. Where's Hitman 3? Where's Monkey Ball? Where? Maybe there's a glitch or something? Where the fuck's what the hell? Where's AoE 4? I don't know. Stream game of the year of the last year? If it was the year before that, if it was 2020 flat, I would have said Minecraft easy. I feel like 21 wasn't as big of a Minecraft year. GTA 5, I guess, had a pretty massive year. I think it's got to be GTA 5. It also brought together a lot of people that wouldn't normally have collabed. Best content org. Ooh. I'm going to say it. From my POV, OTK. Free. They did they tried stuff this year, and I respect that. They made a bunch of different shows. They did a bunch of crazy collabs. I think it's OTK, and it's not close. All these guys are good, but I think OTK actually put their money where their mouth was. They paid for cameramen, they paid for producers, they did a lot of things. S3K should have won, but they weren't nominated because of politics. But I think it's OTK for me. Free League of Their Own, Germa. Gotta be. Ibai also, but won't win, so I don't want to vote for them. It's like voting Kanye, you know? It's not. Yeah, I gotta vote Germa. And you know what? He actually, I think this category pretty much defines Germa. Literally out of the box thinking, literally trailblazer, relies on themselves for their content ideas. Yeah, like Germa's never going live with a fucking tier list with a react. You know, Germa always does his own fucking crazy stuff. And so it's just really impressive. I'm sorry, he actually does do tier lists. Not the tier lists, like the common ones. I'm sorry, like the ones that everyone else does. And also stands. Oh, sorry, no, not stands for this one. Stands for this one. Rising Star Awards. Up and coming streamer. There's only one fucking man for the job. My dog. Stands to the moon, baby. Stands coin. Invest now. I'm sorry, Purple Cliff. I'm sorry, Zoil. I'm sorry, Frogan. But it stands. To the moon. To the top. I unironically watch a fuck ton of Stands, to be honest. But I think it's just, I don't know if it's because we're friends or because I'm addicted to some of his content now. But Stands is the first time I've had a comfort streamer, dude. I'll just be putting on work and I'll have Stands on the other monitor. Just mauling at fucking... He's just live during workday. So I have him on and he's Motorsport Manager or when he's reacting to... Yeah, he's just a good... He's fucking... Yeah, I'm parasocial, my own best man. Yeah, anyway. Big Stands vote for me. Legacy Award. Damn, you could give it to all four of these. All four of these could deserve this. That's a tough one. I think the easiest answers are Soda or Pokey, but it's crazy because for me it's like this award's gonna go on for years, right? Let's assume this award's gonna happen every year. I feel like Soda or Pokey, you don't give them the Lifetime Achievement Award yet. They're still doing it. They're still out here killing it. And I might almost give it to Summit. Not that Summit's not still out here killing it. He's still doing good, but I feel like I feel like Summit is in a place where he's really chill now. But the time when he was changing the streaming meta is probably over. And it was big and impactful. Like his day is probably not now. Summit's massive, by the way. Summit's 50 times bigger than me, so I'm talking out my ass here. But I just think Soda Poppin' and Pokemon are still more doing their thing or changing stuff. And Summit is like found what he wants to do and he's chilling. And I'm gonna take a risky bet. I'm gonna vote Summit. Because I think Legacy Award should go to everyone on this list. And I should give it to Summit now. I feel like so many streamers got boosted by OTV Star by Skara. Yeah, Skara could win it too. Skara definitely. Yeah, he definitely helped found and pioneer OTV. But I mean, Pokemon was mass part of that too. Well, I don't know. They're all big. I think people forget how much Summit ran this fucking website for a minute. I think Summit's peaks were crazy. And so, yeah, it's a hard one. This is a hard one. Were you not around for the Skara League days? I was around for the Skara League days because I played League with Skara. Bro, I was right behind Skara on the ladder. He was 20. I was 21. I love Skara. I'm just talking about, legacy, streaming industry. I think Summit. I'm going to give it to Summit, but I would give it to any one of these. And obviously Soda's done. I mean, if you start the Among Us meta, you probably deserve this award free. I'm just thinking he'll probably get it later on. Gamer of the Year. Ooh. Add an S to that and we're talking. Where's Connor Eats Pants on this list? I don't know, man. It's not my forte. What do you guys think? Timmy, no gap. I mean, the most one I'm impressed with from the outside is Timmy, just because I saw those streams. And he did it across different games. I think it's really impressive, but I really don't know. I got no dog in this race. My pull piece is not working. I can't do a pull. Shroud's the best at every game. Man, like 2020 or 2019, I would have voted Shrouded free, but I don't know. I didn't hear too much out of Shroud this past year. I'm gonna vote Timmy. I'm gonna trust my gut. Streamer of the year, baby. The best overall streamer of the past year. They saw great success with their entertaining content, elevated their brand, and in general left their mark on viewers. This was their year. Ride or die. Ludwig Sevens in the chat. Ride or die for my dog, dude. Little thing called loyalty, baby. Yeah, let out a fire year. Let out a crazy year. Let out a fucking massive year. Did big fucking things. Could have won it the year before, too, if this existed. He's had a run. Tough competition, though. I mean, literally every one of these people fucking actually had a crazy year. And if you go pure numbers, XUC wins fucking the past 5 years. I mean, XUC's had, on pure numbers alone, XUC's crazy, but my dog's number one. I'll go Ludwig. It sucks they had to take you off each of these so it wouldn't be a blowout. Yeah, I know. Cutie messaged me. She's like, hey, so you were winning every single category. Do you mind if I just put you only in speedrunning just to make it a little more fun for the show that you're not sitting? And I was like, yeah, don't worry about it. All right, submit all. Easy clap. I feel really good about those. Maybe outside of Best Gamer, which is the one I felt most, but I felt like those. I felt salt. I mean, and also Legacy Award. Outside of those, I was not conflicted. I feel like pretty solid about my choices. Can you relist your votes? No, I cannot. You can watch the VOD, though. Connor snub for real? Actually, true. You can't have streamer awards. There needs to be an award for, like, I don't know what to call it, but one thing I am consistently impressed about with Connor is that, and it's a similar thing that I was impressed about with Lud. I think Connor and Lud have this in common, actually, was how connected they are. You know what I'm saying? It's like they are friendly with a bunch of different groups. And everyone likes collabing with them. Most denim consumed. Bro, Stan's hungry for an award, I'll tell you that. If that was a category, Stans would be eating jeans the fucking next 2 weeks straight. Live on camera. Yeah. He would be fucking live streaming from a Levi's store. I'd be worried for Connor. Your favorite streamer award? That's actually a great one, but I think German would also sweep it. But I think Connor's a great choice for that. Favorite streamer. That is actually a good way to describe it. I think Connor is Connor's like that. Northern Lion too. Yeah. Most Stunlock streamer? Are you just trying to give it to fucking Hassan free? Does Hassan need a free award? You are deaf in contention? I mean, maybe recently. I feel like in the past month, I've gotten more Stunlocked per capita. Not normally. It wasn't my normal MO, but I'm definitely getting Stunlocked more often. Clint Stevens should have won something. They should have had I don't know what it is, but like the just a drop, sir category or something where it's like they don't stream, but when they do, it's worth it. Uh, they need something. Most reliable streamer. Oh, that would actually be really funny if they had a most reliable one and then everyone votes Clint. Absentee streamer. Yeah, quality, not quantity. And it's like, it'd be like Tommy in it and Clint. Tommy in it goes live for fucking 42 minutes, has 500,000 viewers, gets more viewer minutes in that moment than I'll get in a month. Schlatt. Schlatt. Gigantic. I'm returning to stream. Lasts like what? 2.5 hours? Stop streaming again. He's live on his alt a lot. Alts are interesting to me. Consistently streaming on your alt seems interesting. Like if I did an alt, it would only be for grinding Hitman because I just don't want to put it on stream or TFT. What's my alt? Twitch.tv/dream. If you guys want to watch my alt, I play Minecraft sometimes with my friends. Definitely check it out. Why the mask? Well, listen to my song. I'll tell you more about it. I think Hitman grind streams are fun when I'm trying to figure. I wish I had been streaming when I figured out the Santa Fortuna strat because I think that was really fun. Every step of the process was me like thinking, make a little note, try something. It was like really fun. I wish I had streamed it. Figuring stuff out is fun, but actually just grinding mechanics is not very fun to watch, I think, nor stream. If the chat was here whining, you might not have figured it out, though. Actually, so fucking true. Dude, I was trying to show that Mumbai strat, and I got frustrated within 5 minutes with chat. And I had to quit. I had to stop talking about it. Because all the suggestions were so stupid. So maybe I wouldn't. Maybe it doesn't work. Is there anything happening this stream? I don't know, man. We're getting to it. We're having a conversation right now. Motherfucker. All right, we're doing things. Do you go to the people at parties? If there's a group of people talking at a party, do you go up and say, so is anything happening at this party or what? They're having a conversation. They're talking. Seamlessly find your way in. So what's the plan? We were just talking about, he's going on vacation soon and cool. So what are we doing though? Okay, let's see. What am I? Wait, I had to pull something up. I wanted to watch something. So I wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, so, couple things. Let me pull them up for you. Here, I'll play some dubstep so there's no moment of downtime. Constant sonic waterboarding. Oh, it ran out. Oh yeah, okay. Shit. You know what? I'll do a wins and fails tomorrow because I have some good stuff. But I just want to round it out and make a full video. So I'll do wins and fails tomorrow. This one's funny though. This is gonna be good. Here, I won't even include this one. We'll just look at this tweet. I just think it's really funny. This guy, Chris, with a hexagonal NFT ape profile pic, tweeted, "Tough times create strong men. Strong men create easy times. Easy times create weak men. Weak men create tough times." And then a little while later, he tweeted, "I got scammed 10K last year on a shitcoin called MILF. I know I'm a fool." Damn, bro. Tough times. Tough times. Tough times. MILF to the moon, though. Honestly, though. For real? I'm actually not kidding. Like, let's get your money in MILF quickly. I'm not going to do unbanned forms today, but that's not a bad idea. But I have to get ready for it ahead of time. No, I want to talk about this. So, we talked about inflation. We did an interesting discussion on inflation. I enjoyed hearing from chat. And we did a video on it. Now, we're not going to go deeply into it. I promise I'm going to put up my stun lock alarm. And I'm just going to do a quick response here. There was this. I saw this tweet today. This guy was ordering from Romano's Macaroni Grill, and they were adding a temporary inflation fee to his bill of $2, which I think on a $17 bill is like, it's way above what inflation is. And first of all, no shot it's temporary. If they keep selling at the same rate, they'll just fucking mix it into the price. That shit's staying. Same thing as what the Fed did when they called it transitory last year, and then they're like, well, it's going to be less transitory than we thought. But anyway, inflation is starting to show up in prices in a lot of ways. And I wanted to just highlight that in that video. I want to talk about it. And there was some responses. Now, in general, overwhelmingly positive response, and I liked it. And there's some interesting ones that are things I learned. But there was one guy who kept posting all over. He posted, like, you know, there's paragraph Andes on anything. And they, like, think that people need to hear their 12th paragraph comment, and they posted it everywhere, and he DM'd it to me on fucking Discord, and just posted it in the fucking everywhere. Posted it in Discord, posted it on Reddit, posted it on YouTube, posted it on, and so I just want to take a moment, because I think here's what I'd ignore this stuff, but if you're like me, sometimes when you watch a video or an opinion piece that you like, then you go to the comments and you see some kind of paragraph shit. You don't read the paragraph shit, but the fact that it exists make you go, oh, I don't know. And then you're back to not knowing anymore. You know, it's almost like because our brains are lazy like that, like on Reddit, for example, if I see an interesting Reddit thread, but then there's like a bunch of paragraph Andes in the top comments, then I'm like, oh, I guess it's contentious. And then I just don't, then my mind, you know what I'm saying? And so I feel like I have to bring up that this is pretty unequivocally wrong. It's pretty unequivocally wrong. And so I just want to go through it very briefly and sort of explain why it's wrong. And then we can sort of move on. So there was this video, I think Atrioc's video about inflation is irresponsible. Now, there's a lot here, but the main takeaway, and the thing that his biggest issue is that he believes the government and the Federal Reserve are two extremely independent, distinct entities. Essentially, that the government, whatever party's in power, has no influence over the Federal Reserve. And that is the way it is taught in economics. I think this guy's probably a student. If I had to be honest, I think this guy's probably a student or maybe a first-year grad student, and he learned this stuff and he wants to say it. It's like me in college, like getting online and talking about the 4 Ps of marketing, bro. It's something you just learned and you want to, but the truth of the matter is that is not the case. And it's kind of provably, just demonstrably not the case. So I found a couple examples just to make it a little more clear. So here's one from all the way back in the day. This is Richard Nixon. This is open evidence from the leaked Richard Nixon tapes of how he pressured his own appointee, Arthur Burns, head of the Fed, into lowering interest rates so that the economy would be juiced so he'd win. So you have examples here. First of all, Nixon appointed him probably because he was a sympathetic Republican loyalist. He was warned the economy was likely to dip, urged strongly that everything possible be done to avert this development, including loosening credit. For example, down here, you can say Richard Nixon demanded and Arthur Burns supplied an expansionary monetary policy and growing economy in the run-up to the 1972 election, which Nixon ended up winning. There's extreme political consequences to having a growing or contracting economy around elections. And so it's just naive. It's just naive to think that those in power won't use every influence they can to put pressure on the Fed in many different ways that they have at their disposal to lower interest rates and temporarily juice the economy for their benefit. Okay? So this is a white paper, but there's also this example. This is Juan Del Busto, which is this would be a terrible smash name, who is a 40-year employee of the Fed who said that he thinks they're bowing down to political pressure in response to what was happening in 2019. In further examples, this is... this is a really great article about it, about how the Fed has expanded its powers pretty consistently since 2008. Since 2008, they have capitulated on many fronts. I don't even recognize the institution, but there's also a former employee. The bank I work for is gone. This is a tweet from Trump, just to make it fucking hammer the point home, though, because a lot of time it's done very subtly. Trump was not particularly subtle. Trump just tweeted, would be so great if the Fed would further lower interest rates and quantitative ease. The dollar is very strong against other currencies. There's no inflation. This is the time to do it. Exports would zoom. He openly tweeted it. He also appointed Powell, the chair of the Fed, and also called him a bozo and pressured him in many different ways. And the Fed was trying to raise interest rates. He screamed at them, yelled at them, tweeted 100 plus times, and then they lowered them immediately following. It's a very direct correlation between that. And of course, that directly led to the situation we find ourselves in now. We have been quantitative easing and lowering interest rates to literally zero, which has led to an insane amount of zombie companies, free money, leveraged debt everywhere you see in the economy, huge asset bubbles. And again, both Trump and Biden have been complicit in this extremely, and higher degree than any other administration, both those two. But it certainly is not without their ability to pressure the Fed. So I wanted to, Trump says it'd be so great if Fed slashed rates and pumped cash into the economy. And then that's exactly what they did. It's exactly what they did, which is interesting. Yeah, both parties have been passing this hot potato back around, and I think nobody is going to allow the musical chairs to stop on their watch and completely destroy their party's chance of getting elected. So that was my thesis. I stand by it 100%. I think the only thing I'm a little worried about is that the edit of the video cut out a lot of the nuance. You know, it cut it down to 10 minutes, and it was like a multiple hour discussion. So if there's problems with the edit and maybe you want more discussion, I recommend checking out the full VOD if you're interested. But I actually don't believe that I would take back anything I said on the VOD. I think the VOD encapsulated the nuance. I think I simplified some things for the purpose of the audience, but actually I'm pretty 100% rock solid in everything I said. I found none of the arguments by a few of these paragraph Andes to be compelling. I found them all to be pretty much written by students. They seemed a little naive. And that's that. That's that. I'm going to remove the post now because I feel like they're going to dogpile that dude. I don't know. Can you lock it? Actually, no. Yeah, I don't know. Fine. It's your call. You're the mod. I don't want to punish him with that. I want to respond to his shit, to be honest. I want people to know that, you know. Okay. So there's that. Okay. That's my response. What else did I want to discuss? Oh, I also highly recommend this. If anyone's interested in more, what is it called? I think this is it.
Before we get going,
yeah, I think this is it. I'm gonna recommend this. Highly recommend this. This is a podcast from January of last year called The End Game. This podcast probably has, I don't know how many listeners it has, but it's called The End Game. It's not this one for Grant Williams. This is actually, it's a different one. It's The End Game with this guy Paul Singer, who's a unheard of billionaire. He's one of those billionaires you don't know about, and he's an investor with a long history of success on Wall Street. He's probably not a particularly great guy, but he's extremely knowledgeable about this subject. And yeah, it's like Avengers, yes. And if you have an hour of your time and find this stuff fascinating, I highly recommend it, because this guy, Paul Singer, January of last year, basically predicts exactly what's happening now to the T. It's shockingly prescient. He basically says, he says it feels like the central banks don't think inflation will happen, but if it starts happening, it could get to 3, 4, 5%, and they're going to be caught in a really hard place. And he literally, I can link it. I can drop the link. He goes through point by point what he thinks is going to happen, and it turned out all to be spot on. And if you walk through where his mind is on it, it makes it all seem a little spooky, because the results of the direction that he's talking about, which has been correct so far, are dangerous for both the economy and our societal health. So check it out. I find it really interesting. It was an excellent find on my part. I will give it a link in the chat. If you have time, you can listen to it. It's not particularly fun. He doesn't make it easy to get into, but I found it really fascinating. And it's one of the things that I remember listening to that I went back to, and I was like, wow, that was so fucking spot on. And then I wanted me to talk about inflation again. Okay. Okay, that's it. That's how many low W's per minute? It's low. I'm sorry. It's just a low amount of low W's per minute, which is why I wouldn't normally recommend it, but I think it's good if you're trying to learn more. The dollar is over. It's time for MILF coin. So fucking wise. So fucking wise. Hassan reacted to your inflation video. I will watch that on my own. That sounds interesting, but it's long, right? I can't watch the whole thing. Is there a really funny clip? Does he go like, damn? What is it? Did he say anything? Everyone's Pepe laughing, so I'm not even gonna click it, because I figured it out. I solved it. I solved the fucking puzzle. It's a fucking D's nuts or it's a Rickroll. Yeah, I solved it. Pepe laughs gave you away. Preemptively banned. Okay, so now I wanted to watch something. Reddit recap is going to be fun next Friday. I'm excited for it. I'm already excited for it. Okay, now I wanted to watch. God, I have to save this. I gotta save this, bro. There's so much. There's so much that I want to save. We'll watch Fear of Cold at the end of the day. What else? What else can I watch right now? Let's see. Fear of the Cold is gonna be like the end of the stream. Um. Let's see what else we got. I got no, not MasterChef. Do you have a streaming schedule? Yeah, I stream on time every single day. I do Marketing Monday every single Monday. I do streams at 7:30 PST every single day. I take no days off. Basically, I rise and I grind. You know, I'm always on time. I'm always fucking here. I clock in. I get the great content. I go sometimes all night. Sometimes I do all day Saturday streams. Pretty much every fucking Saturday, I do all day Saturday stream. Sunday, follow it up, and that's just how I grind. You know, I just do a little bit different around here. I love you, Troc. Look at this because it's funny. I guess it is funny that you wrote that. I know, in like an ironic, zoomed out kind of way. I don't think the message itself was funny. The concept of thinking it's funny though. I thought you took Sundays off because it's the Sabbath. God gave me a pass because he said he said your stream's the good word, dude. Is what he said. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? I got the God pass, so actually I can stream Sundays. I was thinking, you know, even if Jesus was a streamer, I think I would still vote Ludwig Streamer of the Year. I think even if Christ himself started fucking streaming, I think I'd give it to Lud. I think I'd fucking give it to my boy. And that's not just because I love my dog. I think Christ's content is good. It's a little preachy, you know. I'm not saying it's bad content. I'm just saying it's a little preachy. But I would edge out Lud. It's 2,000 years old. What do you expect? I mean, I'm fucking 2,000 years old. I make it work. He turns water into G Fuel. Okay, he's back. Dude, that would be the sickest LSF clip of all time. If Jesus Christ streamed on Twitch and turned water into G Fuel, actually, that'd be sick. He only has 12 followers. Jesus took 3 days off. Fucking regular ass Clint Stevens around here, dude. This is going to be so funny. It's going to be so funny when I'm at the gates of hell and they're playing this clip. When I'm like, why? I lived a good life. And it's going to be just this on every monitor. Am I allowed to get away with jokes about beloved people that have died? Tread lightly, I guess. Tread lightly, bro. I don't know. Where are you going with this? What an interesting intro. If it's funny, maybe. We got the mods got the fucking red dot on you, bro. Just be careful. Be careful. There's so much pressure now. So much pressure, dude. That is a funny ass question. Damn, all the topics I want to talk about, I'm saving for wins and fails. I gotta do it tomorrow. Oh, you know what? We'll watch this video. Oh, I want to watch this video. I actually had this pulled up. There's a New York Mafia boss. Or wait, this guy used to work in the New York Mafia. And he explains how the Mafia works from the inside. And I thought it was interesting. And I wanted to watch it.
My name is John Panisi.
It's got 800,000 views. It looks kind of hype. I was interested and I thought, you know what? I'll watch it with chat. So we'll watch this one. That's how Mafia works. Yeah, you know, but the game Mafia. They got a member of the actual Mafia to explain how to play the game Mafia. He's like, well, you deal a bunch of cards. Some people are town. It's going to be fire. It's going to be good.
My name is John Panisi. I'm a former made member of the Lucchese crime family. This is how crime works.
He looks a little nervous.
The biggest misconception about Cosa Nostra and the people that are involved in that life are people really believe that there is honor, loyalty, and respect. These three principles which Cosa Nostra is based on, it no longer exists. Honor, loyalty, and respect have been replaced by selfishness and greed.
Is this guy good old days in crime? I'm pretty sure crime always had a lot of selfishness and greed involved. Back in my day, crime wasn't about the greed. Stealing from people wasn't about the greed. That's wild. That's a wild opening take. I will say, second pass. First pass is that's a funny thing to say. And on its face, really foolishly. Second pass, it's probably interesting. The financialization of the whole world has probably also impacted crime. Crime has become even more profit-driven. There's probably more competition than ever before. I think there's probably less room for anything that's not efficient. It's probably more cutthroat. There's infinite more competition, and it's basically corporatized crime. Plus, yeah, the Mafia and its traditions are not nearly as powerful as it once was. So he's probably not too far off on his warped view of the world. It probably is different, but crime was always about greed. That's.
The rules for a member is the rules of the family and the rules of Cosa Nostra. And those particular rules are, you're not to put your hand on another made member. You're not to go with another made member's wife or even girl, for that matter. You would need to be fully blooded Italian. Your mother and your father need to be Italian. Your bloodline needs to be all Italian. But with every rule, there's an exception. And there has been people who slipped through the cracks, so to speak. One of the rules is you shouldn't get involved in lawsuits. You should not sue people. And I know that there was a rule where you're not to get involved in stocks and bonds. I'm not 100% sure if that's still in effect today. Specifically in New
All right, bro. Do you know? I mean, do you have a lot to say today?
New York, you were not to kill women and children of family members in the mob. They were not allowed to use explosive devices such as bombs, because on the other side, in Italy and Sicily, they were known to use explosives to take out members during a war or just to take a member out. They didn't want that kind of attention in New York. So there's an exception to every rule. Frankie DeCicco, who was the underboss for the Gambino family, had an explosive device put under his car, and he was blown up as a result of that. The no drug dealing rule applies to all the 5 families, but all the 5 families have drug dealing activities going on in it.
These rules are fucking useless then. Not one of those rules is followed.
Every family is going to have certain members that are involved in the drug business and kind of turn a blind eye to it because it brings in so much money. Cosa Nostra members today have no problem breaking the rules on a daily basis, whereas in Carlo Gambino's era, you couldn't break the rules. Breaking the rules meant getting yourself killed. So all these rules that were put in place for reasons are now being broken. So when you have an organization that no longer follows its own rules, it weakens the organization.
Someone said, someone had sex with this guy's wife and he's mad. That is funny if he kept bringing up that one rule. There used to be a rule where you couldn't have sex with a maid member's wife. And the fucking rules have gone out the window, I guess. Sheila?
Before they created the 5 families, the head of each family was called like a father. So that's where they would get the name Godfather. And at some point, they broke it down to 5 fathers, and there was 5 families. So the 5 families in New York are the Genovese family, which in the street, they were known as the West Side. That's how we refer to them. There's the Gambino family. There's the Lucchese family.
Childish Gambino?
There's the Colombo family and the Bonanno family. And they're like the nucleus of Cosa Nostra for the United States. So as far as the 5 families all being in New York, they controlled the entire state of New York. It wasn't only New York City. And then you have the creation of the commission, which was the idea basically of Meyer Lansky, who looked at it as a board of directors. The commission consisted of the head of each of the families, those 5 families, and they would basically make decisions on anything that went on between them. Territories were divided obviously by what family represented which part of New York City. It's kind of, they cut their own turf out, but if it overlapped, that's where a commission would come in and make a ruling.
They did kind of corporatize it.
So when they created the structure of the 5 families, they set it up more like a military. From the bottom of that pecking order, you have the associates, who are considered civilians. Anybody that's not a made member of that life is considered a civilian. Above them are the made members of the family, which are called friends. We call them friends in that life.
Friends.
Above them are captains, as we say, caporegines. They're the head of the crews. The family is represented by all the crews that are in that family. And then above them are the administration.
All right, guys, forming the crews.
The top of the administration is the boss, the underboss, and the consigliere. And that's the structure of the whole family. The word Cosa Nostra means our thing. And that basically means that the structure of the mob, or as people would call it, Mafia, belongs to them, the members of that life.
Quack for capo. Deal.
The mob picks you. That life, Cosa Nostra, picks you. You don't pick that life. So before someone becomes an inducted member of a family,
You don't turn your back on family.
they become an associate. And usually how they become an associate.
Hey, I'm being serious. Forming the crews. We're going to start doing crime. This stream needs to become more profitable. Okay? Forming the crews. Get a capo. We're going to start doing crime. This is going to be a crime family. I feel like streaming is only half the battle. The other half needs to be organized crime. The Glizzy Gang is not what we'll call ourselves. Good vetoed suggestion. I'm glad we got that out of the way early. We'll not be calling ourselves that.
Associate is they're associated to someone who's already an inducted member. In order for an associate to be proposed, I think several factors take place. One is how good they get along with whoever it is that they're with, the soldier that they're with. You know, that they do what they're told to do.
You got to be
They
fun
keep
to
their
drink a
mouth
beer
closed.
with.
Once you're proposed, a ceremony takes place. Who's conducting that ceremony is going to be a member or members of the administration. Along with them is going to be obviously the captain that's going to propose you that day. A pistol and a knife are on the table during this ceremony, and it's mostly there for symbolic reasons. Your trigger finger, whether you're a righty or a lefty, is pricked. Your blood is dropped on a saint, a picture of a saint. It just symbolizes that the oath that you're...
We're going to trim this down for our gang. You can prick your finger with blood if you want. Just press the Prime button. just drop a Twitch Prime, and that's like this thing. And I have a gun right here. Somewhere. Don't worry, there's a gun. Okay? And so it's here for purposes, and you're good to go. Yeah, you just drop that Prime and you're in.
The taking and the oath that you're about to take, you're taking it holding that saint in your hand. And they ultimately light that saint on fire, and you're moving that saint from hand to hand. And you're repeating after whoever's conducting.
Wait, really? Wait, what? Ceremony. I'm sorry. He said you prick your finger, put blood on a saint, and then light your saint on fire, and then toss it hand to hand like hot potato? That's the fucking Mafia initiation? Fucking... What a weird... Why would they light a saint on fire? First of all, it feels sacrilegious. And second of all, why would they toss it around in their hand?
Yeah,
that's some witch talk shit. Bro, was the Italian Mafia the original witch talk?
Which he is explaining the rules of that life to you. My position within the Lucchese family was as a soldier, but there was times that I acted for my captain in the capacity of an acting captain, specifically for a sit-down. The administration would pick the captains of the family. The requirement to be a captain obviously would be good leadership, so they would have to see something in that person to feel that he could lead the crew. That captain is responsible for each member of the crew, but he's also responsible for all the associates that are associated to that crew. A consigliere position is that of a counselor. So he is specifically handling not only internal...
This is funny. This guy describes the Mafia like he's describing the fucking management of a Chili's. Like he's just describing how it's so fucking deadpan, bro. He's like so fucking like, this is how you fill out your timesheets, and this is how and sometimes the wait staff would work on Thursdays, but they have to cover sometimes for the acting man.
What we would call beefs or struggles inside of the family, but external as well. The difference between a boss and an underboss, there's not a whole big difference with the exception of the title. Obviously, the boss is the head of the family, but the underboss holds just as much weight in that family as the boss. Overall, a boss's position is to oversee the family. He's really in charge of everything that goes on underneath him, which goes through the administration, all his captains, all the soldiers in the family, all the way down to the associates. The way the life is structured, the boss is supposed to abide by the same rules that the captains, his administration, the soldiers, and everyone else in that life abide by. A boss of a family or a family together could bring in hundreds of millions of dollars per year. There's many reasons to
That's why we're getting into this.
Fill a boss position. One obviously would be a boss is arrested, incarcerated. One would be a boss passes away through health reasons, there is a void in the position. But then there's also reasons, like in the Paul Castellano situation, a boss that they felt was being greedy and the family turned on the boss. There's different scenarios where a boss can be taken out, replaced, or ultimately killed, for that matter.
We're not going to do that, though, right? This boss, rock solid.
I think years ago when it was first created, the five families, there was a lot more corruption with having law enforcement on the payroll than as it is today. I think there's less of that going on, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't go on. As far as political influence, obviously it would go through putting money in people's pockets for political favors. In present times, I don't think that they have the political.
I can't tell if this guy was actually in the Mafia or if he like read one Wikipedia article on it and is fucking bullshitting. This guy's fence sitting every question. Yeah, all of his answers are like the first Google result.
Power that they once had. I don't think they're able to corrupt the politicians as they were years ago. Initially, the mob took control of unions by force. They would put people in, those people would corrupt the union, take over the unions, and that's how they were able to control most of the unions, specifically in New York City. But today, they have their hand in it, you know, in little areas, but they don't control the unions like they did in the past.
Well, unions don't have any power anymore. Unions were very powerful back then.
Cosa Nostra came to be in New York sometime in the early 1900s. This was an organization and structure that came from the other side, which means Italy, Sicily. When the immigrants from those countries came here to this country, the Italians were almost like second-class citizens, and they were discriminated against when they came. So in the beginning, it was to fight oppression, but naturally that turned into committing organized crime and criminal acts.
That's kind of a leap, right? Naturally, anytime you fight oppression, that turns into committing organized crime, naturally. That's really funny.
To gain a profit from. So when the average citizen started to take notice of Cosa Nostra here, I believe that the first reactions were fear and intimidation. Because they feared and they were intimidated over this group of Italians, they were also fearful to go to law enforcement. They were fearful to talk out against them. In turn, Cosa Nostra gained its power because of this. So I joined Cosa Nostra because
The gamer
I
to
came
Mafia
from a
pipeline?
neighborhood, both Ozone Park and Howard Beach, which was replete with guys in that life.
Damn.
And I believe that I looked up to them at that time and wanted to be just like them. If you're around people that are in that life, inducted members, at some point, you become an associate. And we were associated, my cousin and I, to the Gambino family through John Gotti Jr. And the time I'm talking about, I was around 14, 15 years old at that time. So sometime around 2012, I became an associate and on record with the Lucchese crime family. By 2013,
That's relatively
I was
recent
an inducted member in the family.
him to be talking
I
about
stayed
it
an
on
inducted
camera.
member in the family until 2018. I ultimately winded up
Wait, sorry, what? You left the family? Mafia must be weak as fuck, bro. If you left 3 years ago and you're just talking about it openly.
leaving the life because the family that I was a member of falsely accused me of being an informant when it wasn't true.
Oh, shit, bro. Well, let me tell you, the best way to show them you're not an informant is to get on fucking Bloomberg Media and tell about how the Mafia actually works. That is the best way to cover your tracks.
They now were laying on me, which meant that they sent people to lay and get my pattern. Usually when that is done, it's either to A, hurt you, or B, kill you. I made my
That's not
decision
good
that I
options.
would never go back to my former friends who turned on me. So obviously my life has took a dramatic change. I'm no longer able to see my family as much as I like to. I'm not able to live as close to them as I would like
Jeez.
to. I have to watch every place I go, you know, and be very careful at what I do. And my plans have to be mapped out of where I'm going and what I'm doing.
Well, this, I mean, if true, this explains why his answers were so vague. I think he. It feels like he did this whole interview just so he could say that he was falsely accused. So hopefully they'll see it. It feels like he just doesn't. I think he's, because he literally said nothing that you wouldn't know from a. He said very basic stuff. That's very interesting.
So my life took a big change. In my opinion, in 20 years from now, Cosa Nostra is hardly going to exist in New York. I don't believe that they're going to be able to survive. Cosa Nostra now, compared to years ago, has definitely declined. And the reason is these sentences that are being handed out, the government and specifically the FBI have unlimited funds. They're able to go after them. They're able to take out bosses with the RICO. As far as earning money by committing crimes or doing various criminal acts, it's limited today than it was. So now once you limit money making and money earning, you're taking away power, because money brings power, and the organized crime today is definitely less powerful than it was in years past. In the past few years, there's been an increase.
The FBI ruined crime, Sag. God damn it, FBI. God damn it. We had a good thing going.
In arrest and a large number of arrests in Cosa Nostra. Specific families are targeted. And the reason being is that it's hard for members of Cosa Nostra to operate without law enforcement, specifically the FBI, knowing what they're doing. There are more people that are informants, cooperators. They have people that are working inside families with the FBI, giving the FBI information. That's how they're dismantling families. Family by family, they dismantle them. Members of law enforcement from the United States now work very closely with members of law enforcement from people outside of the United States, like Italy and Sicily. They jointly create cases together.
The plugs.
I made the decision to create a blog, and I started just writing from my experiences. So the first podcast I created is also the name of the blog, which is called Sit Down News, and that's also the name of the podcast. And I just recently created a second podcast called Unlimited Substance. In the next episode, we'll talk how Cosa Nostra makes money in 2022. Stay tuned.
When it said the plugs, I didn't think he'd plug his fucking podcast business. I thought it was gonna be about fucking drugs. That's fucking funny. This is a professional snitch. What are you talking about? You got a whole fucking podcast talking about the Mafia. You've never snitched? You got 2 different podcasts. Who's calling? Physics, I'm not answering. But I will host you after stream. I told you. I have to crack down on this. Everyone's calling me during stream now. I will raid you after stream. On God. I said I would. You weren't live yesterday, which is crazy, because I said I was going to raid you yesterday. Monka W, it's the mob. It was funny. It wasn't exactly what I expected. Are there other good ones? Let's see. I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm gonna lose my mind. Fucking mute my Discord. I wanted to see. Oh, oh, by the way, we're doing the art forgery one. Ooh, that could be good. Wait. Art forgery? How art forgery actually works?
I am Max Brown.
Well, this seems kind of sick. Actually. We already watched the Casino Cheating Expert from Vanity Fair. That was amazing.
Master forger, and they made over £500,000 forging art. This is how crime works.
He right-click saved a bunch of NFTs.
In those days, you didn't have the technology to send them up to the lab to be tested. Today, you would never get away with it. They can tell you the day you painted it, the colour, how old it is, the canvas has got to be...
Damn, are all these about how, like, the good old days of crime is fucking gone? And that computers and technology and fucking corporations have...
Right. You know, you can't forge. So in my day, you didn't have all this technology.
I did not expect criminals to be the ones on fucking our late-stage capitalism. That is funny. They seem the most sad about how things have gotten in their industry.
From 68 to the 70s is when you could still hit it, but not today. No way. We used to buy what we call pot boilers. Pot boilers are old rubbish pictures that somebody would be an amateur, but as long as the canvas at the back was right. You couldn't do an old picture from the 17 or 1800s on a canvas that's mitered. You had to do it sort of when it's looking the part. If you did it on the auctioneer would suss it out. And if they've got a bowl of flowers on or landscape, you rub it down, you sand it down to a flat level, prime it, gesso primer, undercoat on top of that, white undercoat, do the sides, and then do your painting. As for starting, do the sky, get the drying system done, with a Brolac undercoat, air dryer. Then you just sketch it out. So that was the preparation. I think this is where the experts couldn't work out. Well, if this is a fake, I can match the colour. It's just there. It's just, I see it and I think, I would know the colour straight away, what to use, If you use oil paints, normal oil...
Is he just a talented painter? Is this turning into a Bob Ross fucking... He's not... I mean...
Paints, it takes probably about 3 months to dry, right? But my little way of doing it was I found a quick drying process, Brolac or any house undercoat, white undercoat. And then you put that with your paint, you put your hairdryer over it and it will dry probably in about 2 hours. That's why we could do so many, and that was it. Ooh. So the aging is a whole new world. What do you think happens when you've got a picture in a frame for years and years and years? So when it's inside the slip frame, it'll be clean, won't it? And all the dirt will show it. So we used to age it, fake it up with a walnut scrumble, like dirty sort of tea stain colour, and then get your terps and run your finger down with the cloths all the way round so you've got a neat line. So when they say, it's been in the frame for years and years, put it back in the frame, that was it. I wanted to crack the pictures. Hence a very magic thing which somebody showed me.
That's actually really
ago
clever. That's actually fucking Ninehead. This guy's pretty good. I can tell this guy's fucking an expert. How illegal is this? It's very illegal. You're recreating a painting and selling it as the original.
Old guy that used to restore, he said bead glue is perfect. Bead glue is a Scotch glue. It's used for woodwork. Well, you're too young to remember, but it was always a smelly sort of gooey look. So I bought £2 of this. I put it in a saucepan, he told me. Overnight, next morning it's a jelly. Then you think, right, put it on the stove, bring it up to a varnish. If you overdo it, it goes too thick, so you just got to get it right. Get your picture, right, you give it a coat of this varnish, this bead glue varnish. You take it to a heater. It has to be an electric heater. It can't be dry heat. And you circulate the painting like that, and you think, God, it's cracking, it's working. And you do a bit on the top of the sky, and you look at it, you can actually hear it cracking. Wash off the bead glue with warm water on your tap, and then right, you've got all the cracks. Empty your hoover on it, rub all the hoover in, all the dirt, it's all the cracks filled with dirt. And then after that, the nails that you've had in the garden for 6 months, in the tin, because you put water in, they've rusted. Make sure that the nails go back in the place where it was, because they'll suss you out. Tap it all back, under glass, white polish, back in the frame, tail compatible because it smells.
Holy shit, this guy's a master of his craft. Bro, you could have just been a fucking great creator. He just said the word sus. I was actually fascinated by what he's saying. I look over at chat. He said the word sus one time. You guys got him. You got him. He did say sus.
After a while, it takes off the bead glue stink and it rots, to be honest. And then hence you've got it. So there we go. On there looking good. Auction room, Saturday, 3 or 4 of those. Boom. Had the finance in the beginning. He would buy the canvases, he would buy the frames. He gave me sort of like money in the beginning until we got started.
He said Atrioc.
I was in Portobello Road.
It was me, I helped him out.
He said, I love your painting, sir. He said, I'll give you 200 quid for the lot. Come and have a drink with me afterwards. So we went to the pub just in Portobello Road, and he started talking about, we want to do this big time. Yeah, I could have done it on my own, but not as well. We were going as father and son. Like, you know, he was 45, I was 19 years old. So the first auction we hit was Lots Road. We got into the auction room, and you know, if you sort of make them look they're very important, we would say, sir, morning, governor. They go, yeah, morning. So I've got some smudges in the car, so do you have a look for me? And he goes, yeah, bring them in. He said, that's no fine. He said, Dad, because Dad, bring them in, will you? So we bring him in the bloody bin liner, don't we? So and he goes,
I'm losing it. Wait, what is he saying? I want to follow. I'm actually interested in this, so I kind of want to follow along. But he's starting to talk fast and British, so I'm trying to catch up. He said, Governor, Dad, it's very British. I need like fucking subs, dude. All right. Let's do it one more time.
And you know, if you sort of make them look they're very important, we would say, sir, morning, governor.
Morning, governor.
Yeah, morning. So I've got some smudges in the car, so do you have a look for me?
Okay.
And he goes, yeah, bring them in. He said, that's no fine. He said, Dad, because Dad, bring them in, will you? So we bring him in the bloody bin liner, don't we? So and he goes, what's that down there? That looks interesting. This is the very posh guy on the desk. This is how silly it was. The auctioneer would go, Albert Derby. But what he didn't know, that Albert Derby used to sweep floors in the Brighton in a pub. And I thought, when I was painting these fakes...
Bro, I can't follow what you're saying. I feel like, I'm sorry, I can't 100% follow the story. I'm trying. I'm literally trying.
I said, Max, what are we going to do? I said, let's put, I know, a friend, our guy, an old fellow I met was in his 80s, called Albert Derby. I went, yeah, do that. So I put Albert Derby on this fake picture, went in the auction, and he told me yes, he's a listed painter. I went, yeah, right, that's how much they know. That was it. And then he said to me, what's the other thing there? Oh, it's some cat pictures, sir. I said, did you not know
Cat
what
pictures.
this was? It's a Louis Wayne. Who's Louis Wayne, sir? I thought it was Batman. It's anything to do with Batman. Sorry. And we go, you see, son, this guy knows all about it. When you've got respect like that and the way, the knowledge he has is incredible. So you look and learn. But again, to make that auctioneer feel like he's got the knowledge and you know nothing. And then the big thing was the auction rooms.
Okay. If I understand, oh man, I'm trying to. So they would go in posing as father and son, and pretend like they found these paintings and that they didn't know who they were from. And then in order to make the auctioneer feel important, then the auctioneer would be like, oh, this is Albert Wayne or whatever. Okay. Like they inherited it. Right. Okay. But wouldn't they get scammed then? Like if the auctioneer thinks this is two hicks, they don't know the value of these paintings, even though they're fake. Wouldn't the auctioneer pay them like nothing? So how do they get the big bucks? Oh, they get a commission of the auction. Interesting. I thought the auction rooms just take it all themselves. Interesting.
When you go into the
Like, I don't feel like I could go. You can't just go to any old. It feels weird. Auctioneer gets a big cut. Oh, so they're incentivized to join in on the scam. Really, they don't. Whether they know it's a scam or not, they don't have to look too closely. Interesting. They get a cut.
auction room, you've got to be careful. The guy on the desk doesn't go into the auction on the night because he spots two of you bidding for the bugger. Then you think, hello, why are they bidding against their own picture? Sometimes we nearly brought the buggers back. And what we used to do, they do
the NFT wash sale. So they'd show up and bid on their own picture to make people think it's valuable. So they create a fake painter. They pretend to inherit it. They give it to the auctioneer. When it goes up for auction, they bid on their own painting to bid up the price. Interesting. They were ahead of their time.
You'd have a preview. So on the day, you would have people come in to look at the pictures, see what they wanted to buy. We used to stand next to my pictures, or two of them, and you would hold you and you pretend not to listen. You go, oh, and the other go, Albert Derby. It's interesting. So it looks pretty good to me. You can have a pop at this, and you'd mark it down, think, right, I've got him. He was in one.
So what's interesting here is though they made up the artist. So theoretically, I don't get why forge at all. This plan is just marketing for a painting. The artists were real? But didn't he, that's what he said, right? He said Albert Darby was a guy in a pub. He said, look, he said,
yeah, do that. So I put Albert Derby on this fake picture, went in the auction, and he told me he's a listed painter. I went, yeah, right, that's how much they know. That was it. And then he said to me, what's the other thing there? Oh, it's some cat picture. And he went, yeah, I know. A friend, a guy, an old fellow I met, was in his 80s, called Albert Derby. I went, yeah, do that. So I put Albert Derby on this fake picture, went in the auction.
Isn't Albert Derby fake? One real, one fake. Yeah. Louis Wayne. yeah. Okay.
It's a Louis Wayne. Who's Louis Wayne, sir? I thought it was...
Oh! Okay, 100%. I get it. Okay. I still don't get why he's talking up the value of the Albert Derby then. That feels like a way just to sneak in the other stuff.
Batman's anything.
Bit extra squeesh. Okay. All right. So he makes a fake paint. He makes two forgeries. One of them he puts on a fucking fake artist named Albert Derby. And then he brings both of them in. And one he puts on a real artist. And he brings them in. He's like, yeah, I found these old paintings in the garage. Are they worth anything? And they're like, well, this one's Albert Derby, not worth shit. This is a Louis Wayne. Have you heard of it? Never heard of him. I thought he was Batman. Okay. Boom. Now he's got two paintings in the auction. Then They bid on their own paintings to get the value up. And they show up to the previews and say, oh, it's an Albert Darby. It looks pretty good. Okay? That's all part of the scam. I guess they make money off the Darby, even though people don't fucking care.
You can have a pop at this.
He's not
and
famous.
You mark it down, think, right, I've got him. He was in one side, I was in the other, and we used to ring it. So my sign was for when we were bidding up. We used to get to 2.5 grand, and I'd either do that I'm out, and he would carry on. And I used to do that twice. If you're going to overdo it, you buy the bloody thing back yourself. Yeah. So we hit the. Don't say that. Don't say that. Yeah, we hit Bond Street Gallery for 45 grand, and we got 25 in readies and the rest in the cheque, which we cashed immediately. There you go. That's the other way. Mostly dealers would buy. They would buy for reselling. Or you get privates, you know. Ours, we did a lot, we fooled a lot of people with ours, but we had never had any comebacks. Never once did they suspect that they were well, how do you feel about this? You've got a picture, you're listening to all these people talk about it. It's 4 weeks old and it's dated 1797. So, you know, who knows? It just goes on.
Well, yeah, and also, like, if you're a rich person who spent a lot of money on a forgery, you have almost no incentive to publicize that you got fooled. It makes you look like a fool. It ruins the value of your art. So you almost are incentivized to keep the scam going. To keep people believing.
Somebody legged it. Somebody grassed us up, and they raided us one night when I was in Fulham. Found all this bead glue, old paintings, stretchers, everything. Then they charged me with forgery and deception. Got off. I didn't. I got nicked. And I had a single cell because I asked the governor. I asked the governor for oil paints. He agreed. And then pencils and paper and things like that. And so he came to me, and we were visiting in those days. So what he used to do is to bring the paper in, and he'd have it up his sleeve, and he used to slide out some paper that used to nick from the library, from flip clean pages. And the pages were really old, 1830s, so I could do Samuel Palmer drawings.
He kept doing it in jail? You got arrested for forgery and kept forging in jail? That's actually fucking gangster.
Cell, put it in my Bible. Next time you came up, I used to roll them up and roll them up his sleeve. Used to take them back home, frame them up, shove them in the auction. So when I came out, I had about 4 grand coming home. So I was forging in prison.
That's actually fucking gay. Yeah, what are they going to do, arrest me? That's fire. Damn, bro. They should make a movie.
If I walked into Christie's or Sotheby's, the bloody bell would ring, because I'm on camera, aren't I? Well, I'm banned from auctions, aren't I? I'm banned from every auction. In the old days, if there's a bang on the door, I was halfway out the bloody window. But I don't have to do that now. I just feel content with my lot. Born in Buckingham Road in Brighton, basement flat, 5 of us, and it was poverty. It got so bad that they decided to take us away. So that was the first place, was Barkingside we went to, the children's homes. I did all that, came back to my mother, I ran away to London, and then I thought the only job you could get was on the circus. So I went up to the circus in Chipping Norton. When I left the circus, I hit Portobello Road. Saw lots of paintings, I thought, I can do those myself. And so I did about 5 or 6 pictures, then off you go, Portobello Road.
Was that him?
Here I come. 6 pictures.
Where is this him? Damn, sheesh, dude. He had a crazy life. Listen, I respect. It's a fucking victimist crime, dude. Sorry, the victims are extremely, extremely wealthy gallery owners or private art collectors. And what did he get? He got peanuts. He got fucking 4K out of the. I just don't. I can't in my heart condemn him in any way. Came out of poverty, found a way to scam some rich people out of peanuts. I don't blame you at all.
Then off you go.
500K in total?
Road.
Yeah, but
Here
so,
I come.
what is that?
Do I feel remorse? And to be honest, I just felt it was survival, you know. I didn't think, perhaps I was that age, I was only 19 or 20. My book is called Max Brandrett, Britain's #1 forger. And it's not about how to fake a picture. It's my life story.
I might read it. I might honestly read it. I'm interested. He's got a crazy life, it looks like. Let me see the reviews. Maybe all his best stuff was in that video. Max Brandrett book. He's got a movie coming. Holy shit. Why would I read when I could watch? Max Brandrett, Amazon. His book isn't even for sale, bro. Wait, it's not out yet? Maybe it's coming. I don't know. Hey, look, he's got a Twitter. What if I follow him and ask if he wants to be on stream? It'd be kind of cool. When was the last time he tweeted? November. He's probably not extremely active. February? Breaking news, Boris Johnson has reached an out-of-court settlement with the Metropolitan Police. Joke. Sigma, dude. Fucking Sigma. It is a joke. We can all agree the Prime Minister is qualified to say pronounce Omicron. I don't find him qualified to do anything, apart from making everyone in this country look like twats, as he is one. First, like, an honor. British people saying twat is just funny as fuck. All right. Damn, well, these are kind of recent. Can't DM him. I'm gonna tweet at him. Hey Max, loved your fuck, what do I say? Video. Loved your story. My audience and I loved hearing about your life story. Hearing about your story. Do you have any interest in doing a quick interview on my YouTube channel? Is it like 4 a.m. his time? Yeah, he's not gonna respond instantly. I don't. Oh yeah. Okay. Doing a quick interview. For YouTube about how just an interview. Yo, big man, the Glizzlers want a little chat with you in it. Love hearing your story. Hear about your story. Do you have any interest in doing a quick Here's what I'll say. My YouTube audience loved hearing about your story and would love to learn more. Let me know if you have any interest in doing a short interview. Boom. Boom. I can't say Twitch, dude. He won't understand Twitch at all. Put a drool emoji. I'll do cheers. 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 Boom. That way, now we feel comfortable. Comfortable. There. Now I don't feel at home. Saved. I'm not going to say, oh, bro, that's perfect. All right. Now drop some likes so he knows it's real. He only has 105 followers, so we just need 100 people to like it so he feels... I'm not going to... Nail it. God, that was one of the hardest things I ever do on this channel is talk to a British person. It's hard to fucking decipher their crazy language. I'm making it happen, dude. I'm gonna be the first American person to have an open conversation with a British person in 100 years. Have Stan as an interpreter. I'll have Tommy in it as an interpreter. Are you going to play Inscription 4? I'm going to play it tomorrow. Yes, sir. I was waiting for the YouTube video to go up, and I think it is doing well, so I'll definitely play it tomorrow. Boom, 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 boom. It's actually doing all right. It's doing all right. It's fine. Do it tomorrow. Okay, it's 10 o'clock. I have work tomorrow. We have about 1 hour left. That means it's perfect time to watch the video everyone's been asking for. I don't know anything about it, but it is called Fear of Cold. And apparently it's fucking fire. But not literally, because it's cold. Wait. Why is there so many replies? Okay. Can you guys put some good replies? There's too many bad replies. This is a good one. Thank you, Jules. 100 emojis is fine. Yo, big man, the Glizzards want a little chat with you in it. This is not a good reply. This is bad. Can confirm, would enjoy. Great reply. Vouch, yes. Vouch saved my marriage and taught me everything I know. It's a little too far, Reese. Need to fill my Glizzard mind with heaps of knowledge. Completely unnecessary. Completely unnecessary. Can't wait to hear the interview. Great. So true. It would be great to... Great. This is perfect. Fucking don't know why. I posted it 1 minute ago. 1 minute ago, and it's fucking 5 a.m. his time. Please give it a day or two. For a man doesn't even use Twitter. He barely uses Twitter. It's not an instant dono wall. I don't think this guy's an active 24/7 social media user. Boris Johnson is a twat. I think he'll like that. I think he'll actually like that. I'm not huffing copium, dude. I think I have a little bit of time. I'd like to talk to him. Maybe something happens. You know, there's nothing wrong with shooting your shot. All right. So. He will wake up to so many notifs. Bro, I doubt he checks his Twitter like that. I don't think this dude's waking up bleary-eyed fucking pulling out his phone to check the notifs. Is my guess. Quack's replies about Saikuno. Whodat says do it for Black History Month, which is just I'm white, he's white. Doesn't feel like a a great celebration of Black history. Fuchsia had a good response. You guys are basically the same age. Would be such a great and informative interview. It's completely unnecessary. It's completely unnecessary. We are not cops, Winky. I don't think he thought we were cops, but this is not helping. That's just rude. Hey, dipshit. You're Whodat's editor? This is lame. Don't say fuck you to an old man who does fucking cool things. It's actually lame. You should delete this. Whodat have better taste in editors. Okay. Here we go. Let's go. Last video of the night. Fear of cold. You know what? I'm not afraid of cold at all. Going into it, I'm not afraid of cold at all. Let's see if this video changes that. Probably won't, because I am generally fearless in all things. Anyone who's seen me play a horror game knows that I don't get scared. I have ice in my veins, so I could be afraid of cold. You know what I'm saying? I'm afraid of my own fucking veins? I don't think so. So let's see what we got. Fear of cold. Bringing it up.
The scariest story I've...
Ooh. Okay, don't harass him, chat. Relax. You're same problems.
ever read was written over 100 years ago by Jack London.
All right, let's get into it.
It's called To Build a Fire. This story has very few hallmarks of your typical horror writing. There's only one human character, and he is generally very sane. There are no spirits of the dead, no nightmares or hauntings, no guilt that ticks away like a time bomb. And yet, while reading To Build a Fire, I feel paralyzed in a way I haven't felt with any other written work. It is all of 16 pages long. It is about a man.
I once read a 16-page fan fiction about Gary Oak using an AK-47 to come back to Pallet Town and end Ash's reign. It was scarier. And in fact, better. You've told us the story. I'm not going to go into it. Every year or so, I have to bring up the fact that I have read a piece of work that was pivotal on my psyche and my life. Read it on stream? Maybe one day. It is a real story. I did read the whole thing. I was enraptured with every word. And it is about Ash Ketchum being a brutal dictator after he becomes champion, and Gary Oak coming back with his EV and AK-47 to one by one kill all the gym leaders till he gets to Ash and then kill Ash. It is fucking wild.
Man freezing to death. He doesn't start freezing, though. He starts confident and decently prepared, hiking alone through the Yukon back to a logging camp. The narration even describes him as quick and ready in the things of life. But as becomes immediately apparent, it only flatters him to highlight his naivete. Should he be traveling with only a dog as a companion? No, he should not. Could he have worn more protective gear? Sure. But his real arrogance, the narration says, is that he was not able to imagine. 50 degrees below zero meant 80 degrees of frost. Such facts told him that it was cold and uncomfortable, and that was all. It did not lead him to consider his weaknesses as a creature affected by temperature, nor did he think about man's general weakness, able to live only within narrow limits of heat and cold.
True.
Most
Human
of
body
us
is like
in our
pretty-
day-to-day lives
pretty
live
beatable
within this narrow
by the
spectrum
elements.
of heat and cold and do so relatively thoughtlessly. Although we may not enjoy being cold, although we may build our houses and societies to avoid it, true phregophobia or cryophobia, fear of the cold, isn't a common one. Maybe it's because the cold feels predictable, kept in check by a calendar. Maybe it's because we can always bundle up, just keep putting on layers. Maybe it's because, unlike spiders, or the dark, or an unexpected noise at night, few of us have really experienced the cold.
He is talking like a supervillain that just locked me in a freezer. This feels like a monologue of somebody who has just, is like looking through the fucking freezer glass, and I'm locked in it, and he's about to fucking crank up the fuck. This is creeping me out just the way he's fucking telling me this.
Few of us have seen how ruthlessly it will break body and mind and spirit. The cold magnifies our flaws, reveals our every imperfection. It does not forgive mistakes.
I'm sorry. I am sorry because this is not related to this is only tangentially related. But I'm sorry. I have to bring this up. I have to bring this up because it's going to pop in my head, not for a while. Okay. You know how often they will give supervillains or villains in general some weird obsession or trait so they can do monologues like this. Like they're obsessed with cold or whatever. They're obsessed with something. They'll give them something so that when they do these monologues, they have some sort of like unique quirk or twist. Has anybody seen the Nicolas Cage movie Gone in 60 Seconds? It came out like in 2002 maybe or 3. It's an okay. It's a movie about how Nicolas Cage is an ex-car thief that is forced to go back for one last job where he has to steal like 60 cars in one night. And the villain in that film, for whatever reason, is kind of boring. Like the actor's like pretty basic. And so to make him interesting, they gave him this random quirk, which is that he loves wood. And it's so out of nowhere, and and they give it way too much screen time. And if you watch the movie, he says verbatim, "I love wood," so many times. And like it's him like rubbing his hands over wood. Let me see if I can find it.
Check out this verbo.
Oh, man. Michael, they're your cousins.
Look at me.
This might be it.
Raymond Calitri, Memphis Reigns.
I try to learn you.
Like he's a car thief, and he's also, I think, British. But they give him this weird trait, and they keep, like every scene that he's in has a weird wood detail.
Ways, understand your obsessions. But this baseball, it's so bleeding boring, isn't it?
Where's my brother?
Memphis Reigns, the legend precedes you. Ali tells me you're the best. After you left, auto theft in the South Bay area went down 47%.
Where's my brother? Me to you.
I wish it was that easy.
I don't see the complication.
I have 4 days to deliver 50 cars, and I have no cars.
Oh, that's another problem.
Is another problem, innit? It's about me delivering 50 top-end cars because I said I would. Because if I don't, my South American friend goes somewhere else from now on, and that's not good. It's a humiliation. Because I'm the arsehole who said I could deliver. Am I an arsehole? Do I look like an arsehole?
Yeah.
Chad.
I need that paper satisfying.
I'm retired. And where the hell is my brother?
I made this as well.
Oh, they skipped this first
My
part.
first one.
They skipped the part where he said, I love wood. Oh, I don't even, the rest of it's not. Where, bro, they literally skipped it. Fuck.
Raymond Calitri,
Where-
Memphis Reigns.
This is a much lower quality version.
Your legend precedes you. 7%.
I'm proud of these.
Here it is, right here.
I'm proud of these. Straddle chair from the arts and craft period. Mahogany table with cloud lift pattern. Black walnut wine table. Metal's cold, ugly. Wood's warm, clean. Provided by nature. See a piece of furniture take shape, it's like watching a child grow.
I asked you a question.
They threw us out of England, threw us out of France.
Well, here we are. Flourishing, really. Except for the minor inconvenience of despising everything about your country. On this list, you'll find 50 cars.
Okay, I think that was the part of that scene. The point is, every scene he's in mentions wood in some shape or form. And it stuck with me for many years. And I don't know I don't know how relevant it is to that video. But the point is they gave him that quirk, and I always wondered why. Basically, the whole point is why. Why did they do that? Why? Why did they think that was necessary? It made no sense for his character to be obsessed with wood. They kept bringing it up. And I want to know why. And I wish we could get a director. And if someone could interview Nicolas Cage or the director and bring him on, I would love to know more.
In To Build a Fire, the air is colder than 50 degrees below zero, colder than 60 below, colder than 70. The man's mouth is frozen closed, something he expected. The tobacco juice from the chew in his cheek forms a long yellow icicle from his lips. He feels his nose begin to freeze, although this doesn't bother him too much. Many short stories, particularly horror ones, are made by their twist endings. It's not until the twist, the last paragraph, or even the last...
Sorry. Have you guys read The Lottery? This is probably... I'm covering it up. This is probably the short story that stuck with me the most in my life. Lottery's fire. It's scary. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it because it's very short. You could probably read it in fucking 10 minutes. Less. I mean, it's like, what, 5? It's not that long at all. Yeah, it's a great short story. And genuinely unnerving.
By their twist endings. It's not until the twist, the last paragraph, or even the last sentence that we truly understand what's going on. That's not the case in To Build a Fire. We know almost as soon as it starts that this man is going to die. The paralyzing magnetism of the story comes from finding out where exactly it becomes inevitable. Probably the answer is before the day even started. There was no way this man was ever going to survive a hike across the Yukon in 100 degrees of frost. But the arc of the story isn't a simple linear freeze. It's a horrible series of dominoes that fall one after the other. The first domino, probably, is the man plunging his leg into an icy pool just below a frozen riverbed. He had been carefully walking along this creek. He had looked for signs of hidden water. It didn't matter. But a frozen leg is only a death sentence if one can't build a fire, and the man can.
Oh,
He
good.
sits down with his frozen leg and patiently builds it the way you need to build a fire, growing slowly from scraps of bark and dry grass to full-size sticks. Feeling begins to return to the man's fingers and toes, and the way London describes the feeling leaving your extremities in the cold is poetic, but not inaccurate. He says that the blood of the man's body shrank back from the cold, withdrew from his digits, because the blood was alive. The blood was trying to get away from the freeze. In reality, your hands will lose their warmth, lose their hot blood within seconds. In these situations of extreme cold, the temperature of your hands will drop more than 30 degrees from your body's typical 98.6 to closer to 60. It will continue to fall, your blood fleeing the cold, the longer you leave yourself exposed. And to build a fire, the second domino falls just as the man starts to warm his hands and feet. His fire, his savior, becomes his downfall. The heat from the flames rises into the branches of the tree above him. The tree warms just enough
Oh, no.
that the snow slips off its branches. Falling to the forest floor, it falls directly on the fragile collection of kindling, smothering the flames instantly.
That
The fire,
sucks.
his lifeline, is out. This is the first time in the story where the man realizes how dire a situation he's really in. London writes that the fire being snuffed out was like hearing his own judgment of death.
Oh, fuck.
But he continues to fight. He can build another fire, this time not under a tree. He gathers more dry grass and sticks, although he has trouble closing his fingers around them. He has more bark to use for kindling in his pocket, although he can no longer feel it. The dominoes are falling faster now. He tries to hold the box of matches, but his deadened fingers drop it into the snow. He tries again and again to pick it up, but he can't. In a last-ditch effort, he spills everything left in the box, and against all odds manages to strike them all at once. 70 matches blaze to life in his hands. He refuses to let them go, even when he can faintly feel them burning the flesh on his hands.
Jesus Christ.
In his desperation, he succeeds. He manages to light another fire for almost 30 seconds, until he attempts to readjust the pile, and his hands, shaking uncontrollably, scatter the burning twigs across the snow. It's all over by this point, and yet it keeps going. The man thinks that if he could kill the dog, his only companion,
What?
he could
I thought
warm
that
his
was already
hands in
dead.
its body and build another fire. But he doesn't have the strength. He somehow finds the energy to run, and he does blindly what feels like miles, but was likely less than 100 feet. He feels strangely warm, and pictures himself among the men that one day may find his body. He falls asleep.
Poor dog, too.
Fear of the cold is almost always paired with the danger of
Damn, this is
isolation.
crazy.
Some of our most famous horror fiction entombs its characters in a near impenetrable blanket of frost, the cold acting as a barrier between them and safety. In The Shining, for instance, Jack Torrance and his family go to live at the Overlook Hotel during the winter.
You guys read The Cask of Amontillado? Is that what it is? I don't know how to say it. The one where he fucking he gets the guy really drunk and then seals him up brick by brick in a fucking catacomb. That stuck with me forever. I read that fucking probably 20 years ago. That's been stuck in my head forever. That scene of him just slowly, the guy's like singing and he's drunk, and then his rival is just like, I don't remember exactly what motivated it, but I think some guy was just like rude to him at a party. There was like two noblemen, and the other one was like rude to him at a party or something, and so he fucking got him drunk and brought him down to the catacombs and he insulted him at a party. It was jealousy or something. Yeah, and so he just fucking kills him. He just buries him alive. It was such a crazy... Oh, that one's been stuck in my head forever.
Intending to do some upkeep on the premises and enjoy the weather-enforced family time.
Deserved. Deserved. Hey, totally unrelated. Completely unrelated. I am actually having a huge wine party for all my favorite backseaters next week. So if you guys want to come down, I'm doing it in the south of France, in this cool, hip, underground place. All backseaters welcome. Free wine. Get as drunk as you want. BYOB. Bring your own bricks. You know what I'm saying? Seriously, though. Bring a lot of bricks and a lot of mortar. Don't worry about it, you know? Cool. See you there. Should be good.
But as the cold closes in, the snow walling off the hotel from the rest of the world, the winter season of the Overlook Hotel instead externalizes the danger of the story. Threatened by the increasingly deranged Jack, Wendy and Danny are unable to reach out, unable to escape. They are trapped by the cold, just as they're trapped by Jack's abuse. Within The Shining, there's also the unspoken notion that nothing, not the people, nor even the hotel itself, is designed for this kind of cold. Jack was hired as a caretaker because the Overlook cannot survive the season by itself. Faced with the unrelenting cold of the Rocky Mountains, the infrastructure would simply crumble. The brutal winter environment adds to the feeling that everything here somehow stands against nature. At the end of the book, the Overlook Hotel loses the battle, reduced to rubble in its stand against the elements. In the film, however, the cold deals a more personal end to Jack. He is frozen and thus preserved on the premises, rooted by the ice in space and time.
It's such a goofy frame.
In John Carpenter's The Thing, and the short story it's based on, the blasted frozen desert of the Antarctic similarly serves as a wall between the characters and the rest of civilization. Living in a research base deep in Antarctica, a group of men find the frozen body of an alien,
it's one of her favorite horror movies,
or find another research team who found it, depending on the adaptation. They recover its frozen body and examine it, but it's not long until the alien, awakened from its frozen slumber, starts to slaughter and impersonate the crew. Although the titular thing is an abomination, a horror, the men stay close to it because they simply have no other choice. The alien may kill them, the cold will, no question.
Ooh, that's powerful.
In the story, even before the creature is revealed, the outside is simply referred to as White Death. Death of a needle-fingered cold driven before the wind, sucking heat from any warm thing. The Antarctic is alien to the humans too, more similar to the surface of a barren moon than any other landscape on Earth. Externalized danger, once again causing interior panic. Every struggle exacerbated because of the inhuman cold around them in the never-ending night. But in both The Shining and The Thing, the cold refuses to discriminate between pro and antagonist. Jack freezes within the hedge maze. No amount.
I'm sorry. When I was a kid, I woke up one morning with my dad yelling at the TV to burn it. Terrifying at the time. Is there more context? That's terrifying anytime, right? That. Are you good? Is everything all right? Oh, he was watching The Thing and he was yelling, "Burn it." Is everything okay? Because people don't normally do that alone, right? If you're watching TV alone, you don't scream "burn it" at. all right, whatever. I trust.
Amount of manic energy able to combat the ice. In The Thing, the Antarctic is ultimately what preserves the rest of humanity. Although every man at the research station is destined to die by one method or another, the alien is trapped there too. The cold is the great equalizer. Nothing, man nor beast, survives that cold forever.
Stop showing that photo.
That doesn't stop them from trying. Perhaps the most famous story of real-life survival in the Antarctic is Admiral Richard Byrd, an American explorer in the early 20th century. Byrd and his expeditions were responsible for several Antarctic experiments and achievements and meteorological readings, etc. Byrd was notably one of the first 2 people to fly over the South Pole in a plane. His rounds of funding for exploration laid the groundwork for much of the research still being done today.
If you're one of the first 2, you are the second one, right? If you were the first one, you would just say you were the first one. If you're one of the first 2, you are the second one.
But that's not the reason why people know who Richard
Oh, it could be
Byrd
two-person
is.
plane. You're right.
He's famous because for 5 months of the Antarctic winter, he lived alone in a shack in the continent's interior.
He's a gamer.
While everything for 100 miles tried to murder him. Byrd's stated purpose for spending the winter so far south was to gather scientific data, and the reason he claimed to go alone was because there wouldn't be room for 3, and 2 might just annoy each other. Seriously. But in Alone, his memoir of the expedition, the streak of pride that runs through the whole thing is undeniable. Byrd is a man who understands the value of big, capital letter accomplishments. He'd probably be frustrated that I had to qualify that he was one of 2 people to fly over the South Pole. And so, for reasons explicit and unstated, purposes scientific and aspirational, Byrd and his team essentially...
I mean, he's probably extra pissed that fucking, 100 years later, some fucking man-child on the internet's making fun of him for being one of 2. But that's how it goes! Sorry, bro, shouldn't have spent all those days in a shack.
He buried a shack in the ice, carved a couple channels for food and other supplies, and then his team left, and Byrd remained. The first part of Byrd's stay in the cold goes shockingly well. He takes his weather measurements every day, he creates little projects for himself, organizing the food and emergency supplies, he goes on walks, he reads. It's never easy. It's always living in a fundamentally inhospitable environment, but things go about as well as he hoped they would.
So unbelievably
However,
boring.
He knows this accord with the elements is a tenuous one. In his memoir, he writes, "Relax once in the polar regions, and the artificial wall of security which you have so painstakingly erected about yourself may give way without warning." I don't think Byrd would ever say he relaxed, and yet his artificial walls did indeed begin to crumble. Perhaps the single most dramatic instance was during what was supposed to be a routine wind speed reading. He opens the door to his shack and steps into a blizzard, a solid wall of snow, white death. He writes that millions of tiny pellets exploded in my eyes, stinging like BB shot. He writes that in the senseless explosion of sound, you are reduced to a crawling thing on the margin of a disintegrating world.
He's the poet.
Nothing will so quickly isolate a man. He steps out into the blizzard, and the gale scrambles his sense of surroundings, and in an instant, the door back into the shack freezes shut.
Oh!
There's another man who lived alone in the cold, slightly less famous than Richard Byrd, slightly more bizarre. Christopher Knight lived as a hermit in the woods of northern Maine without permanent shelter and almost completely isolated from other people for 27 years.
Most social Atrioc chatter. I'm gonna mod him. What a king, dude. What a fucking king. Glad to have him in the community. Goals. Absolute goals, dude. One day.
He stayed in a camp built in a near-invisible clearing between rocks and the forest. He stole from nearby houses. He lived there for almost 3 decades and only spoke to another person once. A startled, "Hi," as he encountered an unexpected hiker.
You don't speak for 30 years? And the one thing you hit him with is a hi. Does he know he said it like that, or did he add that emphasis? Because that, you really fucking boomed him. You boomed him with that nasally fucking Flanders voice. Hit him with a yummers at least.
Knight was so determined to be alone and so paranoid of his camp being found that he never lit a fire. Not once. He survived 27 winters of Maine outside without heat, with scavenged camp materials and a single-minded determination not to die.
That's insane. That's an insane thing to do.
Winters in Maine, though not Antarctic cold, can drop to -40 degrees and below, and yet somehow, Knight's strategy for survival relied almost exclusively on determination. Far from hibernating, he feared that the winter...
He must have had a blanket, right? That's the only way you could do it. There's just no way you could survive that many years in the cold unless you had a blanket. Like that. I've learned from the best survivors in all of Texas. There's only one. Stole a joke from Quack an hour earlier.
Winters were so cold, the chill so brutal, that if he was asleep during the coldest hours, he may never wake up. Instead, during the harshest freezes, Knight forced himself awake at 2 a.m. and paced around his camp for hours, pacing until daybreak. Sleep was the enemy. Relaxation was the enemy. If he let himself submit to the cold, he'd be lost. Richard Byrd didn't die when the door to his shack froze shut.
Pog.
He remembered a shovel that he left outside, managed to brace himself against his ventilation pipes, wedged the handle under the grip of the door, and strained until it popped open. Collapsing inside, he reflected that there were actually harder ways to die than freezing to death. A couple more minutes out in the cold, and his senses would have given way to a lush numbness, a desensitization that makes dying seem easy.
Jeez.
The closest Byrd came to dying was not easy, though, and it was not as simple as freezing to death. Instead, it started slowly. He noted in his diary one day that he felt strangely depressed, though nothing particular seemed wrong.
Outside of being alone in a shack in the South Pole for months and months and months, outside of that, strangely, I just don't feel that happy. Haven't spoken to a human being in months. I'm stuck in a shack in the middle of the cold.
Feeling of listlessness continued. His ability to do simple
Delete
tasks
Instagram.
diminished until one day he finds that his head is pounding so hard he is completely unable to move. His stove, as it turns out, hasn't been ventilating properly. Carbon monoxide from the burning fuel has been filling the shack with a slow stream of poison, gradually robbing Byrd of all of his faculties. And so now, in the Antarctic winter, he faces an impossible choice. Continue suffering from the poison that leaves him more bedridden every day, or turn off the stove, the thing that was poisoning him, the only source of heat in his world. When Christopher Knight, the hermit, was as close to death as he ever came, months into a particularly brutal winter, he says he saw a literal Lady Death, a cloaked woman who appeared in his camp. He was out of food, out of propane. He was freezing to death in his bed. He recognizes now that Lady Death was probably a hallucination, probably some fevered vision.
Hi!
But he isn't entirely sure. In his darker moments, he says that he still thinks about walking into the woods, sitting down in the cold, and letting Lady Death take him. While Byrd lay unable to move in his shack in the Antarctic, he measured the cold by how far the frost crept up the walls. The temperature sank impossibly, 70 below outside his shack. His single room was engulfed by ice. I lived 1,000 years, he wrote, and all of them were agonizing.
Why do
Byrd's
this?
original plans were to stay 8 months in the shack. Even in the depths of his poisoning, even facing near certain death, he refused to tell base camp how poorly he was doing.
By the way, this, I'm sorry, just this quote, I can't think of anything that sums up one game of League of Legends better. You know, I've been through a lot worse than this guy, but it still sounds like he made some hard choices.
Byrd's original plans were to stay 8 months in the shack. Even in the depths of his poisoning, even facing near certain death, he refused to tell base camp how poorly he was doing. Like the entire expedition, this was caused by a mix of practicality and pride. He feared that those who tried to reach him would perish on the way. His vanity would not allow himself to admit just how dire things had become.
Fuck vanity, dude. You're 7
Fortunately
months...
for him, however, the men he was corresponding with noticed the steady decline of his Morse code. After 4 months, it was nearly unintelligible. Dots and dashes betrayed just how close Admiral Richard Byrd was to death. After 5 months,
damn, bro, your Morse got sloppy.
Both men almost died in their self-imposed deep freeze. Both very nearly lost themselves to that white death. And yet, in that time, both undeniably also experienced something close to euphoria.
Okay.
Richard Byrd writes rapturously about the spectacle of the aurora, its undulating serpentine folds, what he feels as its implicit storytelling. He pictures the light shows in the dark Antarctic night as somehow a representation of good versus evil. There are stretches of time when he feels the cosmos are telling him what it means to be alive. He says that these shows left him with the tingling feeling that I had witnessed a scene denied to all other men. For Christopher Knight, a man who sought isolation to a more extreme extent than almost anyone else, the deep freeze of winter offered the complete opposite. A sort of divine pause, the only time of the year when everything stopped, no sounds of humans, animals, or even the rustling of the leaves. After he was forcibly removed from his forest hideout, it seemed that the memory of winters lost bore heaviest on him. What I miss most in the woods, Knight said, is somewhere in between quiet and solitude. What I miss most is stillness.
Yeah, he's built
Cold
different.
can be an individual antagonist, needle-fingered, intimate, but just as often it serves as a society-level threat. Rare are the people who choose to go out into a freeze unsheltered. Much more often, the cold comes to us. You don't have to think back far for an example of this.
Imagine this whole video is paid for by the oil companies. To promote global warming being a good thing. It's fucking sponsored by Shell at the end.
In 2021, a series of disastrous winter storms hit the US, and many areas saw huge numbers of people lose power. Texas, most infamously of all, had an almost complete breakdown of its electrical grid during its coldest period in living memory.
True.
But it was not, as a point of fact, unprecedented. 10 years earlier, a series of blizzards caused a series of similar rolling blackouts across the state. Recommendations made by experts on how to properly winterize and avoid further catastrophes were subsequently ignored by the state's leaders. And then a decade later, it happened again. Now, to someone who lives further north, the temperature during Texas's freeze may not seem that cold. It almost never dipped below zero. The absolute chilliest days wouldn't be anything unusual in Minnesota or Maine. But of course, the ability to withstand cold on a societal level has little to do with individual toughness, and the numerical temperature matters much less than the resources a place has put into withstanding it.
True.
Texas's collapse is instead a reminder that the cold will find the weakness at every point of infrastructure, force open the cracks that can otherwise be ignored. Many of the deaths in Texas weren't from simple hypothermia, but the carbon monoxide poisoning that resulted from improvising home heaters or even fires that spread from never-before-used fireplaces. Water pipes burst, streetlights blackened, people were forced close together in shelters despite the ongoing presence of a global pandemic. Much like COVID, the cold exposes the vulnerabilities in our systems that were always present and exposes the inhumanity of the people who profit by ignoring those vulnerabilities. And when I look at Texas, I don't see a freak accident, but the beginning of a trend. Summers are going to keep getting hotter and winters will keep getting colder, and the building blocks that make up our society are fundamentally not prepared for the climate hell that we're staring down the barrel of. But you gotta admit, makes a great story. This is the basis for Bong Joon-ho's Snowpiercer, a movie set in an apocalyptic ice age brought on by climate change. It's also the background quote-unquote science for The Day After Tomorrow, my personal favorite big disaster movie. It's also the context for the survival sim Frostpunk.
Very small story, but I think I've told it before too. But this movie came out when I lived in Kansas, which is in the middle of Tornado Alley. And there's a scene in the movie where 2 tornadoes touch down at once. And as this scene was happening, this is hand of God. I swear on my family's life. It sounds so ludicrous that you can't, it was 100%. We were watching the movie in the theater and the tornado siren on base went off. And so as you're looking at tornadoes in the movie, the actual tornado siren goes off, and everyone in the theater thought it was part of the movie. Because it sounds like it fucking... So it's going like, woo, woo. And everyone thought it was real. And the fucking theater manager had to come in and fucking stop the movie and take us out of it. We had to go across the street to Blockbuster and hide in the fucking bathroom, which is where like their fucking safest point was, because it's in the middle of the building. No tornado hit our area. We were fine, but the tornado siren went off. But it was so surreal. Because like right when the movie's going on and you're most afraid of tornadoes, you have to fuck. And I'm like pretty, 2014, I'm like 12, 13. I'm 13 years old. We have to go to, no, not Blockbuster. Did I say Blockbuster? I mean Barnes & Noble. I'm sorry. Barnes & Noble, not Blockbuster. Barnes & Noble. It was a bookstore. Yeah, we had to go to Barnes & Noble. And so it was just scary. I remember it being really scary. Because like the movie makes you scared of tornadoes, and then the real life was like hitting me with it.
It's also the context for the survival sim Frostpunk, a game bold enough to ask, what if SimCity, but with frostbite-based amputations? Frostpunk takes place in an alternate history 19...
Would you recommend living in Kansas? Everyone that currently lives in Kansas, cover your ears. If you live in Kansas right now, cover your ears. No. Fucking no, dude. Kansas flat, boring as fuck, dude. No. Keep those ears covered. No. No. Absolutely awful. Wouldn't live there for the world. Okay. All right.
Century in which an unexplained sudden ice age decimates most of Europe, leaving scant few wandering bands of people and even fewer coal-powered generators that maybe, if you plan things...
To be fair though, I lived in Fort Leavenworth military, Fort Leavenworth, which is a base built around a military prison. It's depressing and dreary and probably one of the worst parts of Kansas. I didn't experience whatever the best Kansas had to offer, but it was bad. And I went to an on-base military school, and it was not fun.
Exactly right can keep humanity alive through the plummeting temperature. But Frostpunk is not, at least initially, a game that lauds players with easy victories in civil engineering. Although the game can be min-maxed to perfection, my experiences with it were far more like Jack London's Story, a series of ominous
My brother loves
dominoes
this game.
toppling one after another. Except in this case, it's not one person, it's a city, and in this case, I didn't even realize they were falling until far too late. Managing your city is a challenge of managing many different resources and conditions, a juggling act of making sure you have enough wood, steel, and coal, enough houses so people don't have to sleep unsheltered, enough medical clinics
sure it would
that
be
the
a terrible
sick can
stream
recover
game, but
and quickly get back to work. For
It
me,
could be fun on my own.
it was always about two things too many. I'd be really proud of the amount of wood I had stockpiled, and then realize that our food reserves had been totally used up. At multiple points, I had to turn almost the entirety of the city's labor force into a coal gathering machine, ignoring every other problem because, if we ran out of coal to keep the heat on, none of the other problems in the city would matter. My adherence to a moral city, my refusal to enforce 14-hour shifts or put children to work, meant that we were constantly on the precipice of disaster. Playing Frostpunk feels like living out the tiny catastrophes of to build a fire, making a mistake as simple as dropping a match in the snow, and then watching those mistakes ripple out to hundreds. Early on, I had a team of explorers find a defunct coal mine. They offered me a choice. Should we salvage a modest amount of supplies from the mine now, with the potential of reactivating it later? Or should we completely break down the operation, seize everything now, and just hope for another consistent source of fuel to present itself in the future? I generally pride myself on my delayed gratification, my ability to hold off on immediate rewards for a larger prize in the future, but I looked at this situation and was completely overwhelmed with the immediate gains. 200 pieces of coal, wood, and steel, an absolute fortune. Later in the game, when I had my generator cranked so high that it burned through 200 pieces of coal in a matter of seconds. I thought back to that coal mine. As the temperature plummeted further and further below zero, I realized that I had knocked over the first domino hours before without even thinking about it. As I scrambled to keep my city at a livable temperature, forsaking all other resources and every standard of civilization in the face of that white death, I had a sudden flashback to a story I heard as a kid, one that stuck with me for probably 2 decades now. It is, hilariously enough, from the Little House series by Laura Ingalls Wilder. In On the Banks of Plum Creek, Ma and Pa are going to town, but Pa says that he's got to bring the wood inside before he does, because a blizzard is going to roll through. He tells his daughters a story about some kids who didn't have enough wood inside, and it was too cold to go out in the blizzard. He says that as their cabin got colder, the kids ran out of wood completely. They destroyed the wood box, then the chairs, then all the furniture in the house in a desperate attempt to keep the fire alive. It wasn't enough though. When their parents finally got home, Pa said that the kids were froze stark stiff. This story causes a sort of mania.
What? That's really dark for a fucking kid show, Little House on the Prairie.
And Laura and her sister, who are so worried about freezing in their house that they bring in all of the wood from their wood pile outside, much to the bemusement of Pa. The Little House series often spoke frankly about the perils of 19th century life in the Midwest, but I don't remember anything
Canadian bedtime
else
story
as dark as this story. Though only a couple lines, I could clearly picture the kids' desperation turning to hypothermia, as even their furniture didn't provide enough fuel for the fire to stay alight.
Yeah, a bunch of
It
kids
was only in
freezing to death?
researching this video that I learned Wilder's original version of this story, written in her non-fiction autobiography, is even more detailed and even more horrifying. The basic setup remains the same: kids at home while the parents are kept away by a blizzard, but the simple froze stark stiff is replaced by detailed descriptions. The kids attempted to leave the house after their stovepipe collapsed. All 5 were found in a snowbank nearby. 3 were dead, frozen completely. The oldest, a 12-year-old girl, had survived and managed to keep the youngest, a baby, alive by swaddling it in her coat. Though the baby was barely chilled, the 12-year-old's limbs were frozen. Pa said that she screamed as they thawed her arms and eventually amputated a leg.
Jesus Christ!
The version of the story I knew, the one that stuck in my head for decades, was somehow the more child-friendly telling. I can't believe how much worse it got. And it's hardly the only time Wilder brought up the cold. In fact, it seems like the biggest threat her family ever faced. Its presence always met with a dramatic darkening of the tone in what are ostensibly children's books. In The Long Winter, one in which her whole family are snowed in for months, she wrote,
This is what you have to. He's gonna tell some dark fucking story. Just look at the cover of this book before he tells the story. Look at the cover. They're smiling in a snowball fight. And then we had to amputate 4 children's legs. Little Johnny didn't make it from that snowball fight.
There were no more lessons. There was nothing in the world but cold and dark and work and coarse brown bread and winds blowing. The storm was always there, outside the walls, waiting sometimes, then pouncing, shaking the house, roaring, snarling, and screaming in rage. She did not ever feel awake. She felt beaten by the cold and the storms. She knew she was dull and stupid, but she could not wake up.
How the fuck does that writing match this cover? How in the fuck is that real? That's insane. What a terrible cover. Garth, what the fuck?
And depression, mixed with tiny victories against the immovable force. Laura's family sings together while in the midst of the blizzard. Generator upgrades and Frostpunk bring brief periods of livability. In The Long Dark, a survival game set in an apocalyptic winter, achievements are minuscule compared to other games in the genre. There's no fortress to construct in The Long Dark, farms to fully automate, or escape vehicles to build. Instead, moments of victory are sewing together a slightly warmer coat, finding a whetstone, lighting a fire. The Long Dark is a pure survival game. Although there are wolves and bears, it's cold and hunger that you'll be fighting for the majority of your time. The end game.
Not me. I pretty much always died of wolves and bears. Almost exclusively. I always try to pick a fight, you know? I let them know who's boss. Man, okay?
Game doesn't look so different from the beginning. Unlike most enemies in video games or antagonists in stories, there is no conquering the cold. You can merely...
What I like about Long Dark is that from the beginning, you know you will lose. You will die. There is no way to win. It is only an exercise in futility and just how long you can last. You will die. And more importantly, it gets colder little by little forever. If you survive like 30 days in Long Dark, it's colder than ever. It gets colder and colder and colder. Eventually, it becomes so fucking cold, you need to have the most insane fucking setup to even stay alive.
Survive it. The cold is a bizarre force, though, because although it can obviously be deadly, it also preserves, not just in food, but in people. Most of you probably have heard of cryonics, the pseudoscientific idea that if you freeze a body now, we'll be able to resuscitate it far in the future. Although cryonics are basically impossible to prove effective with our current technology,
Walt Disney,
which I guess is the point, cases of survival in impossible cold are not. Far from our popular sayings related to the temperature of death, cold, dead hands, and the like, medical wisdom actually goes in the reverse direction. You're not dead until you're warm and dead. Cardiac arrest generally means death in less than 30 minutes, but if you're frozen, that time can be multiplied, with successful resuscitations after hours. A doctor colloquially known as Professor Popsicle has said, "We've learned that there really is no temperature so low you shouldn't try and save someone." The cold's ability to preserve lends it an almost mythic quality. The same force can maintain the life in a brain frozen for hours, keep a neon-jacketed body locked to the same point of Everest for decades, and mummify a man so effectively that 5,000 years later we can tell what he ate hours before he died.
Damn.
On a purely theoretical level, you have to admire the cold. It is so straightforward, so ruthlessly efficient at what it does. It is, of course, harder to appreciate when you're experiencing it. My favorite gross out story of the cold, one so absurd I have to include it, is from Howard Somervell, a mountaineer in the early 20th century. Somervell was on one of the earlier attempts to summit Everest, but as the team climbed higher and higher up the mountain, he found himself seized with coughing fits. Somervell eventually coughed so hard that he felt something stick in his throat. He actually begins to choke. He can't call out for help. He sits down in the snow to die, and then finally manages to hack the thing in his throat out into the snow. It was a piece of his own larynx, frostbitten and detached from his innards. He was fine, by the way. Made it back down the mountain, lived another 50 years, just left a little bit of himself behind. Almost 90 years after Somervell's adventure, a Friday in late November 2009, I went on a trip to Grayson Highlands, Virginia with some friends and their parents. Our plan was to hike in, camp a couple nights, explore the trails while we were there. Grayson Highlands is gorgeous, by the way. Most of the mountains are heavily forested, but these are bare, with long sections where you can walk along clear ridgelines. There are rocky outcroppings and beautiful overlooks. It's one of my favorite places in the state to hike. We arrived around noon and started to walk. It was chilly, but in the fun sort of way, the activity of the ascent keeping us warm. It was exciting that the wind occasionally gusted hard enough to almost knock us over. I can't remember exactly when the temperature started to drop. I do know sundown would have been about 5 p.m. I just remember that those gusts started to cut straight through the light windbreaker I was wearing. Ooh. My flexible gloves didn't seem to retain any heat at all. Looking back, I don't think it was that cold taken in pure degrees. I doubt it sunk much below 15. But in real terms, I was simply unprepared. I had the equipment needed for a sunny fall hike in a southern state, not an overcast mountaintop with sudden temperature changes and a constantly howling wind. To once again quote Jack London, the forecast for that day told me that it was cold and uncomfortable, and that was all. It did not lead me to consider my
I feel bad for that
weaknesses
dog
as a
still.
creature affected by temperature. I remember getting to our campsite, reaching into my tent bag, and being completely unable to determine if what my numb fingers were touching was the canvas of the tent or the poles that would form the frame. I dumped the whole thing out on the ground and tried to pick up the poles to snap them together, but simply couldn't make the connections. 12 years out, I couldn't tell you if the problem was exclusively physical or if my brain had also somehow been deadened. What I know is I stood there and made no progress, increasingly frustrated and alarmed that I couldn't do the single action I needed to give myself shelter. Within minutes, my dad, who was also on the hike, realized what was going on, gave me his gloves, snapped the poles together, and staked the tent to the ground.
Chad.
I more or less fell inside, got in my sleeping bag at what couldn't have been past 6, and immediately went to sleep. I half remember being woken a little while later, again by my dad, who gave me some food warmed by a camp stove and hot chocolate. I passed out again. Looking back, I think about Christopher Knight, who forced himself awake at the coldest parts of the night, stubbornly paced to keep his body functioning and warm. I failed just about every test the cold threw at me. I am possibly over-dramatizing the situation, but in my memory...
I mean, it's funny because of how chill his dad was. It feels like it was like a light breeze and his dad like made him hot cocoa and from the outside it sounds like it was not that, it sounds like it was fine, but it could have been. I have no idea.
Memory that is the closest I have ever felt to death. It really felt like my dad saved my life. The next morning, we all got up, a little shaken by how unexpectedly extreme the previous night had been. We first hesitantly, then enthusiastically pitched the idea of leaving early. I wasn't the only one who had a bad time. There are many places on Earth with permafrost, a layer of frozen soil and sediment beneath the surface that is, theoretically, permanent. Winter, summer, this stays cold, keeping all the dead plants and organisms on that layer cold
global
with
warming.
it, preserving them, in a way, keeping their bodies locked beneath the ground. But, as with so many things, our naming of permafrost assumed a level of stability we denied the world.
Right.
For many years now, permafrost has been thawing, and with it resurfaced startling
I was joking,
reminders
but
of the
it turns
past.
out it's serious.
In Spitsbergen, an island in Norway, human bones appear to be rising out of the ground. A 1600s whaling graveyard, preserved in the ice for 400 years, is now seeing the permafrost exhume the bodies it kept hidden. Humans, whales, pieces of ships, all emerging from the earth. In previous years, the permafrost acted as a sort of shield. Not only would bodies remain permanently frozen, but so too would any diseases or dangers they held with them.
Frozen diseases?
Now, with a steadily climbing global temperature, that shield weakens. A small-scale plague of viral anthrax broke out in Russia when a heat wave exposed the frozen corpses of 75-year-old reindeer from the permafrost.
Holy
Back in
fuck.
Spitsbergen, corpses from a
Rudolph.
century ago still held the full sequence of the 1918 flu.
Holy fuck!
In Longyearbyen, Norway, the northernmost town in the world, there's a joke that residents are not allowed to die. In reality, this refers to burial. The town will not allow corpses from today to freeze instead of decomposing, potentially holding diseases in perpetuity and unleashing them on archaeologists centuries from now. And while that's a noble effort, the deadliest thing is already bound up with all the bodies in the permafrost: carbon. When functioning normally, the frozen ground prevents plants, animals, even humans from releasing their carbon back into the atmosphere. The cold keeps the remains and the carbon they carry. But as the frost thaws, that carbon is released too, billions of tons of it, that in turn increases the global warming, causing the thaw in the first place, accelerating the heating, thawing process in a vicious cycle. Like in Carpenter's The Thing, the cold left undisturbed would have held the threat as long as necessary.
What if we freeze all
Unlike The
cars?
Thing, once the dangers of the permafrost are released, they cannot be confined. No matter where we are, we will feel the impermanence of the permafrost. It's little surprise that the coldest naturally occurring temperature on Earth was recorded in Antarctica. It's either 128 or 135 below, depending on if you want ground level or satellite measurements. In any case, the continent fulfills its promise as the end of nowhere, an inferno of ice, the Earth's underworld. The coldest naturally occurring place in space, as far as we know, is the Boomerang Nebula. It's part of the constellation Centaurus. It's about 5,000 light years away, and thanks to the expelling of ultra-cold gas from a dying star, maintains a temperature of about 1 degree Kelvin, or 1 degree above absolute zero. That's about negative 459 degrees Fahrenheit. This is less than half of the temperature of the vacuum of space in general, which holds a little higher than 2 degrees Kelvin, thanks to background radiation from the Big Bang. But the absolute coldest place in the universe, as far as we know, the coldest temperature anywhere has ever been, ever, is back on Earth.
Next to the ghost when he gets a crown in Fall Guys. Can I get a sheesh? I gotta... I actually think well, I guess I'll finish the video. It's almost like I have to go.
In labs across the world for the past century, scientists have pushed temperatures lower. 1 Kelvin may be the lowest temperature in space, but we continue to go colder, far, far below 1, within thousandths and millionths of a degree of absolute zero. Like the speed of light, it seems like something we may be able to get unbelievably close to, but never reach. Cold itself, in terms of physics, is defined by absence. The absence of energy, the stilling of particles. The lower the temperature, the slower the particle movement within. In the theoretical, impossible object at absolute zero, there is no movement whatsoever. Every particle within the object would be at rest. In a poetic sense,
this is
the
what
hermit
Ninja was
Christopher
talking
Knight
about.
was correct.
This is what Ninja was trying to talk about on New Year's. Holy fuck. He was trying to get to the source. Absolute zero. Figuring this out.
From a physics standpoint, when describing the quiet of winter, somewhere in between quiet and solitude, what I miss most is stillness. It will take until the end of the universe for natural temperatures to best those created in a lab on Earth. When every star has gone out and every black hole has evaporated and the radiation from the Big Bang fizzles away, all the nothing that exists will reach the same temperature, some impossibly small decimal. Still, not absolute zero, but about as close as anything will ever get.
Cool, man.
We, as humans, are inherently fallible. We build houses with cracks in the walls, strike matches that singe and fall from our fingertips.
Not me.
Seek solitude without ensuring self-sufficiency.
Not me.
Unfortunately for our survival, we are generally insulated from these mistakes. A cracked wall, a singed finger, is a setback, not a catastrophe.
Wouldn't know.
The cold will strip that insulation bare, remove our layers of protection, show us how desperate a situation really is. The cold punishes arrogance, forces isolation, remembers our mistakes. But to depict the cold as malicious, antagonistic, is to limit its power. The cold is not an anthropocentric force. It doesn't care one way or another about its effect on us. It was present before anything existed. It will remain after everything is done.
There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the man who was so cold.
cool vid. I was interested. A little long, but I thought it was good. He has a unique YouTube style. He likes to just take a bunch of different disparate things and sort of collate them around a theme. Listen, I enjoyed watching stuff with you guys chat. We'll be back tomorrow with a wins and fails and also Inscription. Should be a pretty fun day. And then later this week, we're going to do the stream with Punch, some Hitman, and then Elden Ring on Friday. So it should be a pretty fucking fun week. Sevens, thanks for watching. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate everyone who subbed today. Sorry if I didn't catch them all. But I do appreciate it on God. And I'll see you tomorrow. Deuces. I'm going to raid Physics if he's live. Physics SSB. And let's make sure he's live, though, before I do it. If you guys don't know, he's a longtime member of the community who made the hilarious Baby Monkey song. Physics SSB. He changed his name? Bro, did he actually change his name? Or is he not live? He's not live? Oh my fucking god, dude. Oh, it's physics_TV. Let's see if it's there. Physics_TV. Alright, I'm gonna follow him, but he definitely ain't live. So that's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy. You know what? We're gonna raid Moist Critical, who's speedrunning The Hobbit. It looks fun as fuck. I would watch it, so I recommend you to watch it. Moist Critical. Raid E. I raided E recently. I'll raid him again. I raided E a bunch, but I think I'm raid Charlie today. Also, feel free to check out E. Much love later, boys and girls. Peace. Have a great night. And MBs. Good night.